Morning, everyone. Welcome to RotoWire Fantasy Football Live Start Sit Show. Thanksgiving week's coming up, so be ready for a little scheduling change. Monday, we'll do the normal show, the reaction show. It's a great show with Anthony Servino. We'll go over all the day's action, hopefully get some trends going forward, what to expect. Tuesday is going to be a crazy loaded day. We'll have our normal 10 a or 11 a.m. Eastern show. That's a normal, but then we're going to have two additional shows. This is important. The evening show. I got to check the time on it. I believe it's 5 Eastern. 5 Eastern, we'll do a start sit stream because we have 3 Thanksgiving games and a Black Friday game. So that means 8 teams will be off the board. Getting too close to the holidays after that. So Tuesday evening, 5 Eastern, we'll do that start sit stream special, and we'll do a Sunday one as well. And then also in the middle of the day on Tuesday at 2 Eastern, I'll have Adam Thompson and we'll break down all 4 of the holiday games. Again, the 3 Thanksgiving and the Black Friday game. We'll break them down for fantasy, and we'll break them down also for betting, DFS, everything you're going to need. That'll be a complete show. It'll be up there plenty early, probably quicker than most of the sites are. So hopefully you enjoy those. All right, I got a super chat question here from Thomas. And Thomas, thank you for the really nice comment there. That had been a huge help. Appreciate it. We get quite a few of them wrong. It's such a variant sport, right? Any player can go off in any week. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. We try to give the rationale, try to get more right than wrong. Hopefully the hit rate's been good. And I always feel bad when we give advice that doesn't work. But again, we just keep doing our best and just go with the logic and hope it works. So Thomas, you have a question now here. So you got a tough one. You said you need 2 in a 1-point PPR to fill a running back in a flex. You got Swift at Kansas City, Mostert against the Raiders, Hall against Buffalo, Javonte against Minnesota, McLaurin against the Giants. So first of all, I think this week we got to go with Swift. The weakness of Kansas City is still the run defense. You still can get to them there. The defense is all predicated upon blitz packages, pass coverage, and they're going to use a lot of zone in this game with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And this is a game where Swift has not been great. But I think there's a week where he's able to get a number of second-level runs. So we like Swift a good deal this week. Now, Mostert, is that kind of boom bust play. Achan's back, and Mostert, he counts on that big play to hit, and the matchup is quite good. Breece Hall, right now, even though Buffalo stinks on defense, teams are just selling out to stop Hall, knowing Zach Wilson can't beat him, and Garrett Wilson can only do so much. So there's always worries that Hall really has no ceiling. Javonte Williams is a great play. Minnesota's good against the run, but Javonte Williams is getting extreme usage. He'll get screen passes as well. He scored through as a receiver last week. And with the blitzes that are coming, I think he's going to be a hot read this week. And again, Russell Wilson's not the greatest screen passer, but I think out of necessity, they got to hit him the ball. Terry McLaurin's always a good play. So Swift is in. And so McLaurin is the safest, probably not the safest, I should say. Williams is the safest because of his massive touch volume. It's gone through the roof. McLaurin may have a slightly higher ceiling, but if they don't need him, if they run the ball, that may be the only thing. So I would go with Javonte. And so, but McLaurin's always a consideration. All right, great one. Thank you for the super chat, and we'll go to the. Listen, if you don't get your question answered, just be patient. I'll get to you. It's just a lot of questions, a lot of good people here. We get to everybody. Disco Dave, hello to you. And a touchdown heavy non-PPR when I start Ferguson over Laporta. It's a tough call here. Laporta hasn't found the end zone a ton. When they get down deep in the red zone, they can run. They got Monty, they got Swift, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and even to a degree, Josh Reynolds. So whereas with Dallas, they're not running well in the red zone. That running game is not going great, and Ferguson is one of the primary reads with CeeDee Lamb. So I think your probability in a touchdown-heavy league would be Ferguson because Laporta just has not been a regular contributor to the end zone. He's got a couple games I know he scored, but Ferguson is like, I think is it 3 straight games? But he's like a regular staple of the offense. So I'd go with him. And then you got to sit one. Diggs, Cup, Waddle, Lockett, or Sutton. I'm going to say to sit Lockett because he is definitely not close to 100%. He missed practice, I believe, almost the whole week, and they're going to check him out pregame. They say he's going to play, and then they go, well, we got to check him out. It's just too much uncertainty there right now. I love Lockett. Otherwise, he could go off. But if he's not nowhere near to 100%, we got Decoy that could be in there. Jackson Smith and Jigba could take snaps from him. He could have an in-game setback. So I would just be really safe and set lock it. And Disco Dave, have a great day as well. Trey, pick one PPR. Achan, Singletary, Madison is playing. I got to go Achan. The latest report is full go. And my God, if Devon Achan's a full go, he has at least 120 scrimmage yards and a touchdown in the 3 games he played. The first game, he barely played. The 3 games he played, he has done it every time out. So right now, they say he's fully healthy. At that point, Carolina, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm going to say Achan, you got to go with him because he has just been, you can't, if he scores 30 points and he's on your bench, Singletary and Madison don't have access to that type of ceiling. So I would say that. And good morning to you as well, Trey. All right, let's see what we got here. We got Thomas. I got yours already. Good. And then thank you for the super chat, Thomas. Steve, PPR, need to sit one out of DK Metcalf against the Rams, Debo against Tampa, Hollywood against the Texans, and Waddle against Vegas. The Texans are actually a good pass defense. I think the James Conner's going to get a little heavy dose. I don't like that Hollywood had 4 targets last week. And now Michael Wilson's not playing, but he and Rondale Moore had 14 targets. Trey McBride had 9. Now Hollywood should see more targets, yes, but it's not a great matchup for him. And there are some injuries, but even when Houston has injuries, they defend the pass well. So I'm going to go with leaving Hollywood out of this one. Waddle, again, ridiculous upside because of his speed. And Debo, the middle of the field against Tampa. We never know how they're going to use him. Middle of the field defense is just awful for them. And that's where Debo lives. And DK, the Rams corners are not very good, and Lockett's not 100%. DK is more of a floor play, but it's a good matchup for him. Steve, hit those. Oh, thank you. Yeah, if you hit the like and subscribe button, if you're on RotoWire, YouTube, I'd appreciate it. In a minute, I got to open up Instagram here. I usually open that one up about 10, give everybody here a little bit of a head start. Max, hey to you as well. Thank you for listening to the shows. I appreciate you supporting me. It means a lot. Brian Robinson, James Cook, Devin Singletary, Brandon Cook starting Dak, or Jalen Waddle. So you need one of these. Robinson is a great floor this week. I do think Chris Rodriguez is going to get some work. And so there's that, but I still think that Robinson gets enough, and he should get the receiving work. Like the Chris Rodriguez, he's not like a receiving back. He's like a total like interior runner. So, and we've been getting production from Robinson as a receiver. So I think that that's going to be, a decent spot for him. Otherwise, I'm looking at who's another player. Waddle's tough to sit. He doesn't always get a ton of targets, but he has the highest ceiling. The best floor play is Robinson, though. Cooks has had 3 out of 4 games, 14 PPR points or better. So there's been that. But I just, again, I think Robinson is super safe. He should get you double-digit fantasy points without a problem. But again, I don't know that the ceiling's astronomical. There's a world he scores twice here. I think Waddle has the highest ceiling, not a bad floor. So Robinson's your safest. But if you want to shoot for the moon in this one, you go with Waddle because all of these guys could go off in this game, and that would be possible. Hopefully that helps. And I got Instagram, welcome in. See, I got some questions here as well. We got J Lara 8, Tua Tagovailoa or CJ Stroud. That's a tough one. So look, we know that they could get the running game going in Miami. Achan could get it going, but he and Mostert catch the ball from him too. And there's going to be very little passers. Brian Burns is great, but I just don't see it being a problem. Tua's got home. The Dolphins score a ton of points there. CJ Stroud's been wonderful. We know that, but I remember them laying the egg just a few weeks ago against Carolina at home, and they're coming off that game against Cincinnati. It's just that ripe letdown spot. I think Tua at home is safer, and I think they both have similar ceilings. And Arizona potentially could get their ground game going against Houston with James Conner. And if they try to shorten the game, that could work against Stroud a bit. Tua is like a 52 to 48 edge. If you have a gut feel, go with it. And then Steve, non-PPR flex out of Conner, Brian Robinson or Hollywood Brown. I like Conner here. Robinson's equally good. They're both very good players. Hollywood, again, we're kind of worried about the targets from only 4 last week. Now that may go up, but again, Texas are decent pass defense. Conner he could have scored last week. He kneeled down to end the game. I think there's going to be high scoring. I think Conner could be in the red zone multiple times. I think we could see him in the receiving game. But Robinson's equally good. It's literally like a 50-50 call. I'm going to defer to the better player here. And in my mind, that's always James Conner. Conner is playing at a very high level, even though the fantasy points haven't been there, but those are coming. And so I'll go with the better player here. But if your gut says Robinson, I get it because he's in a wonderful spot this week. Instagram, Lord of Realty. Godwin or Ridley today. We got to go with Godwin for the floor. He usually gets 4 or 5 catches. He gets about 45 to 55 yards. San Francisco is a tougher matchup, but with the pass rush coming, Godwin's going to get some of those quicker hitting ones. And realistically, Diamador Lenoir, that's a matchup that Godwin wins. And if Charvarius wards him, he's more of a physical dude. And Godwin kind of like is able to beat those guys with his agility. And where Ridley, I love his matchup. I love him as like a DFS dart throw play because his matchup is great, but he's had good matchups and hasn't gotten it done. It's just banking on too much. Godwin's floor is way safer and really hasn't had the big ceiling. So I'm going to go with Godwin like 55-45. Jay Lara 8, Madison or Henderson. I do have to go with Madison here. He's been cleared from the concussion to play tonight. Denver's against the run. You can run on them. When you're cleared from a concussion, to me, there's no setbacks in your workload or whatnot. Henderson, it's a tougher matchup. Seattle, Bobby Wagner in the run. They got Jordan Brooks. It's not been easy to run on them. And so I think it's a much better matchup for Madison. And Henderson splits work with Royce Freeman, where Madison, remember, the carries Chandler had last week, a lot of that, he'll get some, but a lot of that came because Madison was knocked out with that concussion. And then one more on Insta before I come back to YouTube. A. Schlesinger, Dobbs or Kyler Murray. Man, Denver's playing a lot better on defense. Denver is at home. No Justin Jefferson for this one. He's still going to remain on IR, much to our frustration, of course. Dobbs has been getting done as a runner, but Murray ran for 30 and a touchdown last week. I think it's a much higher scoring game potential in Houston, Arizona. So I think I'm going to, and I do think James Conner is a big part of that. But again, I think with Dobbs, even, I think Madison has when he gets a good matchup, he plays well. And I think there's one of those matchups. So I think the running game factors for both. I'm going to go with the higher scoring likelihood of Kyler Murray's game, going up through those higher totals. Jay Red, good morning to you as well. We're back on YouTube. And if I didn't say good morning, I'm saying good morning again. Need a tight end and a flex for PPR. Logan Thomas or Ferguson. So I'm going to go with Ferguson there. They both are playing very well. Ferguson is just a more active part of the red zone package than Logan Thomas is. Logan Thomas is sharing with a lot of people, whereas actually Washington can run in the red zone where the Cowboys really can't. So I'm going to go with Ferguson for that reason. And then Warren, Ridley, Osborne, Rondale Moore, or Logan Thomas Ferguson. So I have to go with Warren here. He's and I know that he was announced over to PA as a starter last week. Well, he's still split equally with Najee, but they're both getting like 15 carries, 4 targets. And Cleveland, explosive backs, they are able to get yards against Cleveland. Cleveland every week gives up that big run or two. And I think that lends to Jaylen Warren here. I think Warren has the safest floor of all these players. And I know Rondale Moore had 8 targets last week. I don't know that we could count on that week to week. And so I'm going to go with Warren for that high floor. And he's also been used as well as Harris in the red zone. Richard, need a flex. DK, Kirk, or James Cook. Yeah, it is a tough one. James Cook, they're playing the Jets, so I'm kind of out on this matchup. Normally, when he has the good matchup, even with the limited work, he gets it done. I do like Kirk's matchup this week against Tennessee. I think this is one week I think Trevor Lawrence, despite the horrible coaching of Press Taylor, he runs too much underneath stuff. But in this game, I think they get away with that. So I think Kirk has the highest ceiling, but I think DK has a higher floor than Kirk. DK against the Rams corners, he has a big advantage there. They're not just running him on deep routes. They're running him a lot of middling stuff. So I think he's going to be okay there. A couple crossers last week. I really liked that usage. So DK is the best floor play. If you want to risk floor for ceiling, then go with Kirk. I'm going to leave Cook out of that one. Back to Instagram. Fishtail, Najee or Achane. So Najee has been a great floor play. He's been about 15 PPR points for about 4 weeks in a row. I think he had one game with an 11. But look, so he's obviously he's very, very safe. But Cleveland is for the Cleveland matchup for Najee. It's better for Warren. A better matchup for Warren than for Najee. It's going to be hard to sit Achane. It's a very positive matchup against Carolina. Again, he has all that yardage in those 3 full games he played, over 120 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. They say he's a full go. You got to roll with him, I think. Again, if your question's not getting answered, please be patient. Oh, I got a super chat question I got to get to. I see one just popped up here. So I'm going to get that in a second. But if you are again, if your question's not being answered, be patient. It takes me a while to get to everybody, but I will get to you. Super chat question. I'll come back to Steve. Robert Sanchez, thank you for joining in on us. Achan or Connor. So Connor is a great floor play, and I do think he's an excellent play this week. Achan, I think, is always in that offense going to have ridiculous ceiling. So even if he gets his 11 touches against Carolina, I don't know how they deal with his speed. Connor is the safest floor. If you want 12 to 16 PPR points and you're good with that, then Connor. Achan, maybe the big runs don't come, but he's shown that's been going. So we got to look at that as well. So I have, as much as I love Connor in the matchup, Achan's gonna be very difficult to sit because he has, I think it's over 20 fantasy points in the 3 games. The first game he played, he hardly had snaps. So I got to go with him until he shows he can't do it. Another super chat question we got here. OG Bobby, good morning to you as well. You need one in your flex spot PPR. Godwin, Addison, or Singletary. Uncle Coventry. Nice. All right. Singletary had that great game last week, and Arizona is not a bad matchup. The yards after contact have not been good for Singletary. Broke attack rate's always good. So I think he's a high floor play. Last week's game, that's not him. He gets those games and then they kind of go away. I said earlier with Godwin, he's a great floor play, and I talked about the San Francisco corners. Lenoir doesn't really match up with him, and Charvarius Ward's more the physical guy, and that's the kind of guy that Godwin beats because he's more speed and agility. Addison, it's Denver. My guess is that Addison sees quite a bit of Patrick Surtain in this game. KJ Osborne's a blocking receiver. So I think that is going to put me down on Addison. I'm going to go with Godwin for the floor there. Thanks for the super chats. Appreciate it. And we'll get back to, let's see what we got here. I got to scroll down here. You always got to find the spots where this leaves off at. All right. And then I think I'm on Steve. And I'm going to go to Insta for a couple questions. Again, if your question has been answered, give it a little time and I'll get there. Quartz Collector, Dobbs or Murray. Somebody had a similar question earlier. I think there's more scoring in the Arizona-Houston game. So I'm going to lend to Murray because I think both teams are able to run the ball in this game. I think Murray has more opportunity in a higher scoring game than what Dobbs probably has against Denver. I think that's lower scoring than we think in that one. And then Jay Lara, I think I answered already. We went Tua slightly over CJ Stroud. And then CLJB5 on Instagram wants to know about Debo or Rashee Rice. So Debo has a really good middle of the field matchup against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers, they have Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis on the outsides, and they haven't been playing great this year, but the middle is like, it's a wasteland. And so this is a game where Debo has a high floor and a high ceiling. Rashee Rice, we are very hopeful that Andy Reid starts throwing the ball to him more, but we don't have evidence that that's going on yet. And it's a great matchup for Rice. So I'm going to call Rice more of a, and he's gotten good floor performance. He's a boom bust play because we don't know out of the bye. He could be featured. We can't prove that. So right now, Debo in a wonderful matchup. I've got to go with Debo here because we kind of know that offense is going to attack the middle. And then another one on Instagram, Bert NNJ, Fields or Stafford. I got to go with Fields here. Stafford, when he was healthy, in the last 4 games, I think it was 230 or less passing yards. Very rarely throws 2 touchdowns. It was he's playing great at an NFL level, but the fantasy numbers were not there. Fields had 35 points before he got knocked out in the Minnesota game, but in his last 2 full games, he had like 35 PPR points. He had 2 great games against the Lions. The passing in the second game wasn't good, but he ran for a ton of yards in that game. So I think you go back to Fields. He was running hot, and it sounds like the thumb is fine. One more on Insta before I pop back to YouTube. OG Cash 13. Kirk or Tank Dell? I said earlier, Kirk does have real upside against Tennessee this week. There's a very good matchup for him. Tank Dell also has a great matchup. Everybody kind of has a great matchup against Arizona's defense this week. So they both have high ceilings. So I think that's on the table. I think Kirk has a higher floor than Dell in this game because the Tennessee corners are really going to be problematic, and they're probably going to double Ridley. That's what teams have been doing with a significant rate. So I think they're probably, so I'm going to give Kirk a slight edger, but if your gut says Dell, it is definitely that close to go with it. All right, Steve on YouTube. You need to start. Maybe I answered. No, I didn't answer. Let me see here. All right. 3, Brian Robinson, Connor Rashad White against the 49ers, Singletary against the Cardinals, Montgomery against the Bears. All right. So, look, Montgomery, I know, is splitting work right now, but they're going to be able to run on the Bears. That offensive line is getting the Jonah Jackson, the left guard's out, but that's not enough to move the needle. It's the rest of that line is dominant against the run. And I think they're going to be able to run with a lot of success, both running backs. So I do like Montgomery as a great floor play here. Rashad White, he's been living on volume. And as a receiver and a runner, even though the 49ers run defense hasn't been great, the run blocking for the Bucs is awful, and White is just volume. He's not a good runner. So I think this is not a great week to use him. Singletary, you heard me talk earlier. I think that last week I get it. But again, I just think he's like a mediocre floor play, good floor. I'm going to go with Connor. So I'm going to go with Connor and Montgomery. But Brian Robinson and Montgomery are like razor close. So if you have a gut feel, because both of them could go off, they both have great matchups. I think Connor is more likely to be in a higher scoring game, could score more likely than Robinson. So, but again, Robinson and Connor's a gut call. I would go with Montgomery. He's been playing at a super high level, even though still losing some touches. Delroy, Komet, Rondale Moore, or Jaden Reed. All right, let's see what we got here. Komet. Komet has been playing very well, even with Tyson Bagent. And against the Lions, he does have a good history of my recollection against the Lions. And Justin Fields, that's his middle of the field guy. That's the really only reliable middle of the field guy, and he's going to need that. Lions have some passers. I'm going to go Cole Komet here. Jaden Reed just doesn't get enough consistent targets. Delroy, Trevor Lawrence, or Jordan Love. I normally would be sour on Trevor Lawrence because the way the fantasy performance has gone. I have him as my DFS GPP play of the week because Tennessee's not getting that pass rush. They're better against the run. They really struggle against the pass. I'm going with Trevor Lawrence here. I know Jordan Love looked good last week, and I know it's a great matchup against the Chargers, but I just don't trust his inconsistencies. Whereas Trevor Lawrence, I think they're going to have to throw, and I think they're going to have a lot of success here. Steve, you need a defense. Green Bay against the Chargers, the Texans against the Cardinals, the Chargers against the Packers, or the Giants against Washington. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of which one we'll go with here. I might go with the Chargers defense against Green Bay. The offensive line has been taking a little bit of a dip since Bakhtiari's been out for the season. And I do think that this is one of the weeks that their passers can get some damage done. And Jordan Love, with his inconsistencies as a passer, that could lead to something. Instagram, what we got here? We've got Jay Lara, you're welcome. David Benozilo. Waddle, Puka Nacua, Devontae Smith, choose two. I think Devontae Smith has to be an integral part of Philadelphia's game plan. Kansas City's a tough defense against the pass. No Dallas Goedert. They're going to have to focus on the outside receivers a bit more. They're going to have to run the ball too. But I do think Devontae Smith's in a really good spot in what should be a moderately high-scoring game. Jalen Waddle, we don't know how many targets he's going to get. Same kind of goes for Puka. It's been really up and down, right? And coming out of the bye, we don't know. Cooper Kupp's have a couple down games. Stafford's, healthy now. We wonder who's going to get jump started. My guess is they want to jump this narrative. They want to jump start Kupp a little more than worried about Puka. So I'm going to say start Waddle and Devontae Smith here, just because it's really hard to know what Puka role is going to be on a week-to-week basis. And I think they all have great upside. So there's that. Ray Rodriguez on YouTube, full PPR flex, Najee, Rondale Moore, Ty Chandler. So Ty Chandler becomes less relevant now that Alexander Madison is expected to be playing tonight. And he got a lot of those carries last week after Madison was concussed. Rondale Moore had the 8 targets last week. But again, Marquise Brown only had 4. So I think that's just a variance thing. I'm going to go with Najee. Again, he plays about half the snap. He's been getting you about 15 PPR points most of the last 5 weeks. He had a 10.8, I think, in there. But he just gets it done every week. And Cleveland, you got to attack him on the ground. Let's see what we got here. We got David, you're welcome. Richard on Instagram, McBride, Hollywood, or Laporta in the flex. So Laporta's been a great floor play. He has a couple games of touchdowns too. McBride, 9 targets again last week. I think you really do need to use the middle of the field against Houston. They're a good pass defense. Hollywood is a little rougher matchup. The targets weren't great last week at 4. I'm going to give McBride the slightest. I think that's a shootout there, and I think McBride's going to have to be an integral part of the middle of the field game for them. And Akupo F. Joed. Sorry if I said it wrong. McLaurin, Debo, or Thielen. PPR, pick one. So Thielen's seen the dip a little bit, and I'm not excited about his matchup against Dallas. How I crapped out on Instagram again. I'll come back as soon as I see that motion there. Fake. All right, I'm back on Insta. All right, so Akupo F. Joed. So for your question, Debo, that middle of the field matchup against Tampa Bay is great. They just cannot deal with the middle of the field. Texans proved that one. So Debo is your kind of your boom bust guy because we know that they can always choose to go to someone else, and they might. McLaurin is your safe floor play. They could get out the big, but he always gets it done, something done. He gets targets, and there's nothing scary about the Giants matchup. Giants are down a corner in this game too. So McLaurin is your safe, high floor play. There's some ceiling always. Debo has the biggest ceiling of them all, but I think his floor is lower than McLaurin. I would start Debo, but if you want the safest play, it would be McLaurin. And then King D Love, start 3. It is on Instagram. Diggs, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Shakir, or Nico Collins. So, look, I don't know if things are getting fixed with Diggs or not, but there's a lot of frustration, and they are playing the Jets. And I'm not worried about Sauce Gardner shutting him down or DJ Reed shutting him down. Diggs is such a great route runner. It doesn't really matter. But the offense has been dysfunctional. But I mean, I just cannot in good conscience say we said Diggs' floor should be great. And then he could go off on anybody. And if it's a squeaky wheel thing, he might get more passes. The new offensive coordinator taking over. Oh my God, Judge. I think it's Joe Judge. Maybe the focus coming in is let's get the ball to Diggs. I'm going to start Diggs for that reason. And then I mentioned Devontae Smith earlier. I think they need him in this game against Kansas City with no Dallas Goedert. I think they got to go to him quite a bit. And I'm going to give Jalen Waddle the edge over Nico Collins. Because Nico Collins has been scuffling since seeing more alpha attention. It's a great matchup for Collins. Waddle has a better floor, though. And then, of course, Waddle has ceiling as well with Collins. Don't be surprised if Collins goes off here, but I think we got to see him reestablish himself in that role that we had. All right, Kevin Keller, good morning to you as well. You need one from the list in a PPR. Michael Wilson is inactive today. It will be inactive today. Gabe Davis, Noah Brown will 99% be inactive. He missed practice all week. Ty Chandler will not likely see much work because Alexander Madison was cleared from the concussion. So we are going with Gabe Davis. And I know it's a bad matchup. He'll either see DJ Reed or Sauce Gardner. They play sides. So when Davis is on the DJ Reed side, DJ Reed is small. He's like 5'9". Gabe Davis, a bigger receiver. I think that's a matchup they're going to be able to go to and be able to win. I'm going to go Gabe Davis there. Randy, good morning to you as well. Great to see you. And non-PPR, would I drop Gainwell or Fournette? I still think Fournette's got to be the drop. Look, he's not explosive. And what role does he really get? It's not like they're going to say, we're going to grind the ball 3 yards on a cloud of dust. That's what he is at this point. And it's like not Josh Allen is not like the screen king. So it's not like Fournette's going to, see that full season pace of 73 catches he had with Tom Brady. So I would drop Fournette because if Gainwell's going to have a role. But if there's an injury, then all of a sudden, like Swift misses time and he missed time. Gainwell moves up. Let me just make sure I know I'm a super chat question here. And Joseph, I got a question from Joseph on the super chat. I just saw it now. I'm sorry, it was a few minutes ago. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. One receiver and a flex. I assume this is Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, and Christian Kirk. You need one receiver and a flex. And I got to see another super chat, so I'll get these all answered now. So Garrett Wilson, it's a great Buffalo. They're so depleted on defense. They should have no answer for him. He should be the usual 8-9 catches. 75 to 99 yards. And he doesn't hit 100. He's in the 90s. So somewhere in there. But I think you play him, and you never know. He could finally get that touchdown too, right? So we got that. So I'm going to go with him. Between Nacua and Kirk, I think they both have similar floors. I think with the Seattle matchup, Nacua was isolated on Bobby Wagner a lot in that last game, and he went off, but there was no Cooper Kupp in that game. And Kupp might run a lot of those routes this time, so that gets me a little nervous. Kirk, I do think it's a big, he has potential upside because Tennessee, they're not as great against the run, but they're more of a, you pass on them. They're pass funnel defense. So I'm going to give Kirk the slight edge over Puka Nacua there. And that one more super chat question here, DK Mitchell. Morning you as well. Appreciate you as well for being part of this. Thank you. You need a win, and I hope we get one for you. You had Jamar. I know how rough was that. I'm glad he scored a touchdown for you on the last couple plays. At least there was something, right? Pick 2, full PPR. Running back 2 in the flex. Singletary, Achane, Mostert, Rashad White, Devontae, and Dell. We're going with Achane because in those 3 games he played, the first game he only had a couple snaps, but he was over 20 fantasy points in each game. He's a full go. Carolina is not a challenging matchup. We just got to roll with the superstar there, right? The next one's going to be between Devontae and Dell, I think. I think that's going to be our decision. And I think Devontae Smith, again, he has to be used a lot in this game because no Dallas Goedert. The passing game is going to be A.J. Brown. It's going to be Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown's going to get the more difficult. They're going to do what they can to sell out to stop him. So I like Devontae a great deal. Dell, we know, is a beautiful matchup against Arizona. So he has that big upside potential. But I think it's going to be it's Devontae safer. So and his ceiling is reasonable. So if you want that, I go with Devontae. But if you got to swing for the fence because of that Jamar Chase low game for you, and you think you need a 25-point game, you're going to risk a floor with Dell. We only get 6-7 point game, but he would have access against Arizona to that 1 or 2 big plays. Devontae's probably going to get you about 15 to 18 in this one. Chance for more. So that's how I frame that one. Hopefully that helps. Thanks for being super chat. And again, when I see those pop up, I grab them. I just like a little thing in the corner, but it's not like animated or anything. All right, I gotta see I got Randy's question. All right, good. Let me get some Instagram questions here. Richard Jasso, McBride, Laporta, or I think we answered this on Hollywood or Laporta for somebody, maybe it was. We're going with McBride over that group between McBride, Hollywood, and Laporta. And Clobbery, Nico, or Addison. I think, like I said earlier, I think Addison is going to see quite a bit of Patrick Surtain, and that's a mismatch. Not a good one. So I'm going to go with Nico Collins. Again, back in that alpha role, he's healthy now. He hasn't been as great as he was earlier in the season, but against Arizona, there's a possibility that comes back here. SADXXM on Instagram. Start 3, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, Pacheco, Laporta, Addison, or Deontay. So DK, I think, is a great matchup for him against the Rams corners. They don't really have anybody to deal with him. I think he's a high floor play. DJ Moore had 300-yard games in his last 4 with Justin Fields. We are going right back to him. Detroit, they're a very good defense. They don't have the corners to really deal with DJ Moore. So DJ Moore is a great play this week. Of your remaining plays, I think Deontay Johnson, he faced a lot of man coverage against. He's a great zone beater, but Cleveland plays like about 40% man, and that's going to be a tougher one for him. Addison, I just mentioned, I don't like his matchup with Surtain. I see a lot of him in this game. Between Laporta and Pacheco, he doesn't have great vision, but he's good like for 60, 70 yards. Philly's tough on the run. And Philly, they can play the pass. They can still stop the run. I think it's a tougher draw for Check. I'm going to go with Laporta here. Laporta he's been a great high floor play. Continue to see that in this game. Griffin Pierce on Instagram, Ridley or Collins. Again, Ridley does too many floor games. He's had good matchups. It hasn't worked. I love the matchup. I think he can come through, but he hasn't done it in good matchups before. Nico Collins has a much better floor than Ridley. And I think Collins has a better ceiling. We've seen that. We've seen a 30-point game and a 23-point game. Ridley maybe had one game that bordered that, but that was it. So we're going to go with Collins in a good matchup. And then Muzz Lightyear, Dobbs or Godwin. Dobbs just doesn't get the targets. He scores touchdowns, right? But he's very TD dependent. The yardage, it's like 30 or less in most games. I froze on Insta, so I'll wait till I unfreeze. Come back here. Okay, I unfroze on Insta. So Muzz Lightyear, I'm going to go with Godwin. He gets a few more targets a game than Dobbs. Dobbs is very touchdown dependent. We can't bank on those coming in 3 out of 4 weeks. Aaron Jones is healthier now. He might be seeing a little more work there as well. We're going to go with Godwin there. And then Quartz Collector on Instagram wants to know Pacheco or Mostert. Again, it's a bad matchup for him. Philadelphia is excellent against the run. They're one of the best in the league stopping it. Last year, they were one of the worst, and they're one of the best this year. I'm going to go with Mostert here. Great matchup. And Richard, Surtain doesn't necessarily shadow a receiver, but given what the Vikings have, I wouldn't be surprised if they made it a point to get him on Addison because they're not going to waste him on KJ Osborne, who's a great blocking receiver. They definitely, and Brandon Powell, the slot, they're not going to. So I think there's a good chance Surtain is maybe assigned, although he doesn't always be dictated, but at least on half the snaps, they would be lined up in the same place. And that's enough to downgrade Addison for me. Melly Matrix back on YouTube. Half PPR, need 3. Jahmyr Gibbs on DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, Devon H. Well, that's a good problem. They have James Conner. And it says Rachel there. I'm not sure what that means. I'll leave Rachel out of there, but maybe me and Rashad White. But that's a big list. So what we're gonna say is this: Devon Achane. Look, he was 3. The last 3 games he played. The first game he barely played. He was massive in all 3. I think you have to start him. Can't sit him. James Conner has a great matchup. He could have scored last week, but he knelt down to make sure they ensured the win and froze the clock out. So there was that. So I'm going to go with James Conner here, but Jahmyr Gibbs. So Jahmyr Gibbs, though, if you want, Conner's the highest floor play. But if you want the higher ceiling, risking some floor because maybe Montgomery gets a little more work, then Jahmyr Gibbs would be your guy. Gibbs has bigger upside than Conner in this one. But I think Conner has a safer, higher floor. So I would base it on that. I got a super chat question. I got to come back to Ethan Betterman after that. Enrique. Thank you. I hope your family as well is also. Thank you. TD only, start 3. Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Adam Thielen, Jordan Addison, Sam Laporta, and Jake Ferguson. I will go with Jake Ferguson here because, again, I always say he is a primary read in the red zone, and they should get down there a lot in this game. Devontae Adams, let me just double check that. There's going to be some. They're probably have to score some points. They're probably going to have to throw. They got Aiden O'Connell. That scares me. It's going to be hard to recommend Devontae here. Jalen Waddle has a chance of getting a long touchdown against Carolina in this one. I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle there. The third one's going to be tough. I'm actually going to give Sam Laporta the edge over the others because I think that Detroit scores a ton of points on the Bears today, and I think that would be the third choice. I think those would be your reliable shots there. And then I got to find Ethan's questions here. Let me just see how I'm doing up here. Yeah, I got a whole ton of questions, which is fine. All right, we'll get to everybody. Just be patient if I haven't answered your question. We got a lot of good people here today. We'll get to everybody. All right, so let me see. Ethan, and I'll get to Insta in a moment. Sit 1.5 PPR, Singletary, Madison, White, or Achane. So White's had great volume and he's catching passes. I just think the 49ers, their run defense is going to be better than it was because they got those 3 pass rushers now. And I saw it last week. Other guys were kind of freed up to do their better work against the run. It made their linebacking group better. So I'm going to sit Rachaad White in this one, despite coming off of 2 red hot games. And then Ethan also wants to know Musgrave, Parham, or Conklin. The highest floor play is Conklin. He's had 2 big games in a row, 6 for 66 and 7 for 70 something. But of course he could go, but as floor goes, he's had bad weeks, but he's the most reliable of this group. Parham is the most likely to score a touchdown with Gerald Everett out. So I think, and then, so Parham might have a little higher of a ceiling than Conklin, but Conklin's floor probably tells me I'm going to go with Conklin. Delagizi reaffirmed the Brandon Cooks on Ridley start. Probably would start Cooks. Love Ridley this week. It's a great matchup, but he's had a great matchup but hasn't done it. Cooks has at least 14.2 PPR points in 3 of his last 4 games. And he had the 1.7 in there, but his overall production's been better than Ridley lately. So I'm going to go Cooks there. Rodney, Hurts or Stroud? So Stroud is a great matchup. Hurts, Kansas City, they've been good against the pass and no Dallas Goedert. I don't know what Hurts' knee issue is, and if that keeps him from running, that hurts him a bit. I'm going to give Stroud a 51-49 edge. If you got a gut feel, go with that. Collins or Mostert in the flex. That's a tough one. Mostert gets his 10 or so touches, but he's been very good at them. It's an easy matchup. Collins hasn't had the ceiling he showed earlier in the season. It's a great game for a matchup for him where he could go off. But I think right now I'm going to go Mostert's a little safer. But I think Collins has more upside. So, again, if you want to risk a floor, but Collins could have that 30-point game. I'm not saying he will, but this is a matchup where he could do that. And so he's your upside boom bust play. If you want stability safe, you want 12 to 14 points and call it a day, then I'm going with Mostert. Chris Cook, Dell or Swift? Same deal with the last question. Swift has a good matchup against Kansas City on the ground. Kansas City's going to be selling off to stop the pass. And Swift he usually gets about 60 yards a game. I think he can get closer to 80 in this one. And you could see a couple catches. Doesn't see a lot of catches in this offense, but I think he has a chance to score here. But Dell has bigger upside. I think Dell has way bigger upside. And so Swift, if you want to bank that about 15 points or so in this one, that Swift, Dell has a lower floor, but Dell could get you 25 if he goes off and gets a big play here. So again, if you want safe at Swift, if you need to swing for defense here, then I go with Dell. And Instagram questions, and Bert and Jay, you're welcome. Dean Hall. And again, if your questions aren't being answered, be patient. I will get to everybody, but it's going to take some time. Dean Hall, Garrett Wilson or Brian Robinson in the flex. Love Brian Robinson's matchup. Garrett Wilson has been like perfect PPR, high floor. Like he gets at least like 15 PPR points a game. Doesn't really get you much over 20, but there's that. Brian Robinson is a good of a matchup as he's going to get. Antonio Gibson's not playing now. I know that just means, well, he could see more receptions here, and I kind of like that. I think that's very useful here. And so I'm gonna. So Robinson, he could score in this one. He could score twice in this one. Wilson is safer. Wilson has rock high floor, probably not a ceiling game, but Robinson probably has a little higher of a ceiling. I'd give Robinson a 51-49 edge here. If you have a gut feel, go with it. Lisa Sells, you pick two: White, Keenan Allen, or Kenny Walker. Keenan Allen's a full go. I know that Green Bay is a good pass defense, but what Allen and Herbert have, it's unstoppable. There are games teams could bracket and slow him down, but he still finds a way to get it done. I think as this particular matchup goes, Green Bay plays a lot of zone. Well, Keenan Allen, that's the zone king. You know, he very few better at navigating the zone than Keenan Allen. So I think Keenan Allen eats against zone. You know, we talk Jair Alexander. Well, that's like an out of styles make fight one. So I'm going to go with him. By White, I assume you mean Rashad White. And 49ers haven't been good against the run. But again, I mentioned earlier, they added to that pass rush, and now they put pressure on the offensive line, and now the linebackers can do more of their jobs they weren't able to do. I froze up on Insta. I'll come back and answer the rest of that in a minute. All right. Ty, we're all live with a beautiful day. Yes. Oh, I'm done crapping out on Insta. I'm back. So Lisa, we're gonna go Keenan Allen for sure. And I'm gonna go with Kenneth Walker over Rashad White. 49ers are, again, they improved their pass rush with acquisitions. Their linebackers are more free to do their job. And I don't think White quite gets it done as a receiver the same way as usual in this game because those linebackers are really, really fast. And we give Kenny Walker the spot. And I know he's splitting some work, but he's still getting enough touches. The snaps have gone down, but he's getting more work with the percentage of snaps. And Walker is against the Rams. That's not an oppressive matchup. And OG Kosh, you're welcome. And Brian McBee 23, what's up to you as well? There's an Instagram question. Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, Darrell Henderson. This is a tough one. So Deontay, what worries me is Cleveland plays a lot of man, and Deontay's a great zone beater, so that I'm a little down on him. Darrell Henderson, Seattle matchup, that's not a good one for him. Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks at the run defense have been much, much better. And Henderson's not a good player. He's had some couple decent fantasy performances. Amari Cooper, look, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he might not be good. He might be terrible. He did throw Cooper the ball 6 times in that first game. It was against Baltimore. And he was a last-minute starter. Didn't practice with him. I'm going to give Cooper the edge here because I think Cooper is going to get 6 to 8 targets, and I think he's able to do something with those targets. And then Richard Jasso, Ridley or Addison? I'm giving Ridley the edge here. I love the matchup. He hasn't been good, but I love the matchup. Addison, again, I'm worried Surtain plays him on enough of the snaps to impact him. And I don't think Josh Dobbs is going to challenge those windows. Addison is not the guy who can create separation against Patrick Surtain when he's on him. And there'll be snaps where he's not, but I'm going with Ridley there. Rivers, do you start Brian Robinson or DeAndre Swift? 50-50 on that one, right? They both have excellent matchups. Brian Robinson, because Gibson's out and Chris Rodriguez isn't the pass catcher, I think Brian Robinson is more involved in the passing game. Swift doesn't get a lot of passes in this offense. I'm going to give Brian Robinson a 57-43 edge over Swift because I think he sees some extra targets. Ty, PPR, Mostert or Warren? So I think against Carolina, I keep saying Carolina, Vegas. I screwed that up like 3 times. Sorry about that. Is the Vegas matchup. I said Carolina with Miami twice. Remember that game earlier in the year? Brain. Get back to reality here. So anyway, against the Raiders, not worried about it. Mostert's going to get his 10 to 12 touches. There's going to potential for explosive play. He and Achane are both involved to be able to score touchdowns. Warren, I don't think there's a lot of points scored. Over and under is like 32 and a half on this game. So I don't think that probably for touchdowns really low. I'm going to give Mostert a slight edge here. Kincaid for your flex, JSN, Nakua, pick 2. The middle of the field against the Jets is where you want to go. You don't want to deal with Gardner and DJ Reed as much as you don't have to. So I do think that Kincaid's a strong middle of the field play. You can, again, Matt Milano's been out forever for the season, so he's done. So now your other ones, I'm going to say that JSN is your floor play. He's getting you about close to 10 PPR points a week, but Nakua, lower floor, they don't go to him a lot, but he has a much higher ceiling than JSN. So if you need to go for the big game, go with Nakua, but you're risking floor. If you just want to bank about 10 PPR points, and if Tyler Lockett's limited or is out, that could even go up. So JSN's a safer play here. John Rubright, more than you as well. Fields or Murray? I'm going to go with Fields. I think the Bears are going to have to chase a lot of points against Detroit. Murray is going to be in line for a decent game, but Houston's pass defense is better than run defense. And I think James Conner gets quite a bit done. I think the Bears have to rely on Fields. When Fields ran for a lot in the second game against Detroit last year, the first game he did well as a runner and a passer. So I'm going to go with that. Instagram, Seb Cop played Puka and Cooper. So in terms of if it was one or the other, I would start. I crapped out on Instagram again. I'll come back. Delroy. Pick 2, Javonte, Aaron Jones, or James Conner. All right, I uncrapped out on Insta. Puka and Cooper. Between the two, I would lean Puka because Cooper, there are concerns with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. There is a lot of unknown. We don't know what we're getting. They both could not do well. I think Puka is more likely to do well, and he definitely has a higher ceiling than Cooper in this one. But if you're playing them both, Cooper's a wide receiver 3, and Puka's maybe top 30-ish receiver. So they both are in play, of course. Casito on Instagram, Deontay Johnson, Addison, or Njoku need one. I don't know what Njoku's role is going to be with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He was getting a lot of screens and yards after the catch with that, but I don't know what the configuration is. Deontay's in trouble because Cleveland plays a lot of man. He's a great zone beater. Addison's, the concern is a lot of Patrick Surtain. Don't know how much, but enough that's going to slow him down. I'm going to give, though, Deontay Johnson a brief edge here, slight edge, because Cleveland still plays zone about 50%, 58% of the time, I think, roughly. And so I think there's enough where Johnson gets you 4 or 5 catches. I'm going to give him the slight edge. Howard Kodas, Puka or Marquise? Pretty equal here. I think Puka's floor is higher. Marquise had 4 targets last week, and Houston is a good pass defense. They both have ceiling potential, but I think Puka's more likely to have the higher floor. Robert, good morning. Need a flex, Godwin or Achane? I'm going to go with Achane. The production in those 3 games he played, other than that first one when he barely played, it was pristine. It was like half PPR. You're probably 18 plus points per game. Whereas Godwin, I don't know, he's had many of those all year, right? Not many. So, and the 49ers matchup is enough to scare me, whereas Achane's playing the Raiders, and that doesn't scare me at all. Raiders are playing the big boys here, and they don't have the speed to hang with them. I'm going to go to Achane there, Robert. And then Brian Corrales on Instagram, Dobbs or Fields? Somebody had the same question. I'm going to go Fields. No, there's a little difference. It might have to be Murray or Fields. I'm going to go with Fields here. I think that Minnesota-Denver game's lower scoring than we'd like. I think Surtain's presence makes it a little more difficult. I think Fields going to have to run. Dobbs runs too, but I think Fields is going to have to run, and I would trust him a little more than Dobbs in that capacity. And then the hookup with DJ Moore, that's an advantage in this game. And then Claubrey, Brock Purdy, or Kyler Murray. So Brock Purdy against Tampa Bay. Purdy's going to have a big day today, most likely. Kyler, my concern is that James Conner is able to get it done on the ground. They don't need Murray as much as we might think. It's much better to attack Houston on the ground. I'm going to give Brock Purdy a slight edge there. And then Claubrey, you've got Nico or Addison. I'm going to go Nico there. You heard me talk about the Addison, the concerns when snaps he sees Surtain. I'm going to go with Nico. Should be healthy. Arizona's not a scary matchup in any way. Delroy, McBride, or Ferguson. Ferguson's been seeing the volume too. And Dallas passes more. I'm going to give Ferguson a 52-48 edge over McBride. The red zone potential, I think, is higher for Ferguson. Jeff Colburn, good morning. Full PPR, I need 2 of Nakua, Waddle, Ayuk, Adams. So I'm not worried about Ayuk. Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis are not playing at the level they have in the past. And I don't think either of them really right now have the ability to hang with Ayuk. Now, we don't know who's getting the ball for the 49ers, but I think you want to pass against the Bucs before run on them. I think that's a little better path to go. So I do think Ayuk's a strong play here. I think, he's a high floor play, moderate ceiling. I'm leaving Waddle in against the Raiders. They're not going to have an answer for the speed. He should get 6+ targets, so he should be okay with that. So I think back to Ayuk. I think Nakua has a lower floor, but I think he has a higher ceiling than Ayuk. So if you have to shoot for the ceiling game, Nakua could have that. And but otherwise, Ayuk is a safer play. Adams, I'm leaving out in this one. Miami, much better than they were. Some of the snaps, Jalen Ramsey will probably see Ayuk, and I don't think Aiden O'Connell is going to challenge that tight window. So I think there's going to be that. All right, let's see what we got here. Muzz Lightyear said Godwin. I hope I missed something with that. That dude, J1 on Instagram, Josh Allen or Jordan. I get it. Look, Jordan Love had a nice, productive game last week. And I know the Chargers are a good matchup. I think the Chargers pass rush can actually give him a little trouble this week. And, Staley's bad, but he does run some mildly confusing looks that quarterbacks who are still figuring things out can get confused. And I think with his downfield inaccuracy, that's a problem. And I know Josh Allen has the Jets. I think he's got to run in this game. I think he probably runs for 40 yards, probably runs for a touchdown. And that's probably enough to give me Josh Allen over Jordan Love. But I get the question. We've come to that, right? But Josh Allen for fantasy seems to get a floor every week. And there's something to be said for that as well. And then Dean Hall, Garrett Wilson, or Brian Robinson in the flex. Again, I had the same one for somebody else. I think I gave Robinson a 51-49 edge. Very, very close. Robinson may see more passes than usual. Gibson out. So, but it's a gut call on that one. But I'm going to give Brian Robinson the edge there. And Insta, let's see what we got here. GM, Paricio 16, Jordan Lover, Russell Wilson. Wilson's playing Minnesota. He's going to get a lot of creative blitz looks, and he doesn't want to get hit. You can kind of see he runs a little bit, but he gets down to the ground. But he also he's not going to. Caleb Evans, the corner's up, but I'm not worried about that because they use a lot of zone looks, confusing looks in the back end. This one, I give Jordan Love the slight edge because I think Wilson's going to be confused in this one. I think this guy's not going to be a good matchup for him. Man, I tell you, Brian Flores is coaching it up on defense for the Vikings. PNLB, Puka or Kirk, standard league. I think Kirk is going to have a good opportunity against Tennessee. I think it's a good floor play. I don't think it's a massive through the ceiling game. Puka, there's that possibility they don't go to Cup as much and he gets the big game, but I think there's a lower floor because of that. So Puka's your risky play. He's very risky. Kirk, I don't think is risky. I think he has a high floor. I think he has a moderate ceiling. I would lean to Kirk, but if your gut says Puka, he has real upside. Last game they played against the Rams, they isolated him on Bobby Wagner, the linebacker, and it got ugly. And then Brian Corrales, PPR, Fields or Dobbs. We're going to go with Fields on that one. Somebody asked that same question. I think Fields have to run more. I've got a super chat question. Then I'm going to come back to Master J3 after that. Super chat question. Red Foreman, welcome. Thank you. Dante Foreman, I'm sorry. Khalil Herbert or George Pickens. So the last time Pickens played Cleveland, he caught a slant that went like 70 yards for a touchdown. It was just one of those busted coverages. And otherwise, they play man. They get to the quarterback quickly. It's not a good matchup for Pickens, even though he had the good meeting in the first one. Now, between Foreman and Herbert, I can never trust the Chicago coaching staff and what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. My guess is if they get in the red zone, and I don't even know if Roshan Johnson is going to be a deal here. He shouldn't be. Like 3rd percentile broken tackle rate, 10th percentile yards after contact. He's like brutal. Whereas Foreman and Herbert were both over 70th percentile broken tackle rate, over 70th percentile yards after contact. So you would think Foreman's heavily involved here. I'm not worried about the limited practice. He showed up each day, so I'm not even worried. It's probably the heavy carry volume. Detroit is a tougher matchup. So, because of the uncertainty of who gets the work and we can't trust the Bears staff, I'm still going to go with Pickens here because I have no idea what the Bears, their coaching staff is, pardon me, it's awful. They played Roshan a ton. I never got it. So we're going to go with Pickens because we don't know the usage. Thank you for being a super chat user. And then Master J3, pick one to sit. Kirk, Dell, McBride, Schultz, Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. Oh, wow. The Smith and Jigba one's interesting because he's had a high floor. If Tyler Lockett in late game, if he's out, then Smith and Jigba sees a boost. But Smith and Jigba hasn't shown ceiling yet. And all your other players have shown it, and none of them have matchups that are worrisome. So I'm going to sit JSN for that reason. Great question. Instagram, Brock Wild, full PPR star 2, Saquon, Aaron Jones, and Achan. I got to sit Saquon. Aaron Jones, six or close to 6 targets in the last 2 games, 20 and 13 carries. He finally has a good matchup. This is a good matchup. So now he should get the production, right? And Achan, I can't sit him. He just showed so much, and now they're playing the Raiders. Not a worry there. And he's just been going. Whereas Saquon, great player, we're not questioning that. But in Washington, it's better against the run than the pass, and they're gonna load up and say, DeVito beat us, and that's gonna be it. So I think Saquon just doesn't have much of the ceiling we'd like to see. So we're gonna go Jones and Achan, and then Clawbury, we're going Purdy over Kyler. CLJB5 on Instagram, Rice or Debo. Right now, we're not sure that Rice is getting extended work. We hope, but we don't know. Debo, middle of the field against Tampa, big mismatch. I'm going to go with Debo because I'm trusting his role is going to be there. Whereas Rice, I love the idea, but until I see him see 8 targets or so in a game, I can't reasonably put him ahead of Debo at this point. But I'm hoping, hope I can't, do it on hope. Tone Loke, full PPR. Who do I start? Hopkins or Sutton? Sutton's been very touchdown dependent. His fantasy numbers have been great. He scored in 7 of 9 games. But you notice the targets. He's got in his last 4 or 5 games, he got 3 or 4 games with 1 to 4 targets. But he's scoring touchdowns, right? So that's been real useful. Minnesota's going to make it tough. Don't worry about a Caleb Evans, a cornerback. They run a lot of disguised looks. They do a lot of moving with their zone defense. So I don't think that's, Evans has been C- in coverage in my scale. But Hopkins, we've seen him kind of disappear. Now Tyson Campbell is out for Jacksonville, so there's that. And Demarius Williams, I can't think of his name. The other corner has been playing very well for Jacksonville, but he's small. And Hopkins has a big edge there. I'm going to give Hopkins a 51-49 edge. If your gut says Sutton, because that TD hot streak, roll with it. But I can't count on the TDs being there every week. And Dr. Saulo Serrano, Pickens or Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore had 8 targets last week, but Marquise Brown only had 4. I think that was an anomaly. So I think I'm going to say, because the unreliability of Moore's role in the offense, I think I got to go with Pickens here. Again, he had that long catch and run for the touchdown the first time he played Cleveland. And it's not a great matchup for him, but I think he has a higher floor than Moore, and he has a better chance of scoring a touchdown than Moore. Carlos Godinez, Trevor Lawrence against Tennessee or Dobbs against Denver. So Dobbs has a better floor because he runs. He has a good floor. I love Lawrence this week. He's been bad for fantasy. Tennessee, much better against the run. Struggling against the pass. The pass rush has not been great. That line should hold up. All of his receivers have advantages. But Dobbs has a higher floor. You want a super safe? Go with Dobbs for a safe floor because he's going to run for 30, 40 yards probably. If you want the high ceiling play, I'm going with Trevor Lawrence in this case. Again, everybody, thanks for being here. If you're on RotoWire YouTube, you hit the like and subscribe button. It'd be greatly appreciated. If you give me a follow on the X at Jim Coventry NFL, be greatly appreciated as well. If I haven't gotten to your question, give me time. I will get to them. It's an hour to kick off. I think we got quite a few of them here. Let me just check here. Yeah, we got a pretty good load up here. Wow. I'm probably at that point now. I'm going to probably try to answer them a little more quickly here. So let me just do a little bit more quickly. We've done a lot of the analysis on players. Let me just see where I'm at. Let me make sure I have any super chat questions here. See, Charlene's in the house. Welcome to you. Glad you're back. There we go. So I'm on Jeff Rogers' question. Let me see if I have any super chat questions. And All right. So Joseph said he missed my answer. Joseph Zock. So you were asking between Fields, Stroud, Howell. All right. So I think Fields is in a great spot here. They're going to have to score points. He ran well in the second meeting against Detroit last year. He passed well in the first, coming off two big games. Stroud, it might be one of those games where the Cardinals are able to run and shorten it a bit. I think Fields' rushing ability here gives him the slight edge. Howell's a great play, but the last time they played was 14-7 against the Giants. Little problem. They might run more than pass. If your gut says Stroud, I get it. Fields is the player I prefer there. And all right, let me get back to the live. And I'm going to go a little bit more quickly through these now. And let me see what I got in Insta here. I left off on Dr. All right, let me see what I got here. Oh man, I got a load of questions here. All right, I'm going to go through pretty quickly on them. Find out where I was at. Sorry, just give me a second here. I'm going to go through. Remember, extra Tuesday shows. We're going to have a start sit for the Thanksgiving games. That's going to be coming up a little bit Thursday and Tuesday at 5 Eastern. So make sure you join me for that. All right, King D Love on Insta. Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker, Javonte Williams. We are going to sit Ken Walker in this one. Jones is a great matchup. Javonte Williams getting extreme usage. We're going to sit Walker and GJ. On Insta, should you start Achane or Nico? Look, Achane in those 3 games is amazing. Got to keep playing him until he shows he can't do it. Just the effing around Denver defense or Minnesota defense. Probably go with the Minnesota defense with the blitzes that they use. I think I'm going to go with that route. Tone Loke, full PPR, Hopkins or Sutton. We went Hopkins on that one. If your gut said Sutton. Alfonso, Deontay Johnson or Dalton Schultz. I'm going with Dalton Schultz here. A lot of man defense from Cleveland. That's going to be tougher for Deontay most likely. Just effing around. I think I answered that one for you. We went Minnesota over Denver defense. Alfonso, we went Schultz over Deontay Johnson. Chargers fan 565, Jalen Warner, Khalil Herbert. I don't know what Herbert's true role is going to be coming back from the injury. We're going to go with Warren because it's safer. Lisa Sells, Schultz or Ferguson. Schultz is a higher floor and a reasonable and a similar ceiling. I'm going to go with Schultz in that one. Just Griff, Ayuk, you need 2. Ayuk, Puka, Nico Collins, Kirk, or Amari Cooper. We are going to go Kirk has a high floor, and we are going to go with Ayuk as the other against the Tampa Bay defense. He could beat those corners. DKPA1, full point PPR, Nakua or Tank Dell. They both have similar ceiling. I think Dell has a higher floor. I'm going to go with Dell. All right, get back to some YouTube. I'm going to go through these quicker. Jeff Rogers, Saquon and Singletary, Laporte. We're going with Saquon over Singletary because his chance of scoring a touchdown are greater. Singletary, we don't chase that big game. Usually he hasn't been showing that regularly. Laporta or McBride. Oh, yeah, this is super, super tight on this one. I think ultimately the Lions score more points here, and I'm going to go with Laporta for that reason. Husky Dad, trade Olave and Ford for Barkley and Flowers. The DeVito thing is problematic. I would say no to that. And Flowers with Andrews out, defenses will pay more attention to him. I'd say no. I keep Olave and Ford. Joe Ma Blogs, Fields or Kyler Murray. I'm going to go with Fields in this one. I think that the Cardinals run the ball a little bit more in this one. John Rubright, Dell or DJ Moore. DJ Moore, 3 out of 4 last games with Fields were 100 yards, had a 200 in there. Julie M., happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Week 13, you lose TJ Hawk, Musgrave, Higbee, Conklin on the waiver wire. All right, on the waiver wire, I don't know the opponents of those right now. Conklin has the highest floor. Higbee's not getting targets with the 2 receivers back. Musgrave, just the volume's too low. Conklin's probably your best choice. Yason or Yason, I'm sorry. Standard scoring, Nakua or Kirk. Yeah, I got a lot of this one today. I think Kirk has the higher floor. Nakua has the higher ceiling. If you want the safe play, Kirk has a reasonable ceiling. I would lean Kirk. If you really got to shoot for the huge game because the way your lineup is, then I might go the other route and go with Nakua. Otherwise, it's Kirk. John Rubright, Komet or Ingram. Ingram's had a safe floor but no ceiling. Komet against the Lions is a good matchup for him. I'm going to give Komet the edge. He's had their number in the past too. Master J3, Murray or Fields. If you're worried about the Fields injury, then go with Murray. I think they rested Fields an extra week, so I think he's fine. So I think that Cardinals might run the ball a little more. If your gut says Murray, go with him. But Fields did fantasy-wise, did well in both games against the Lions last year. Delegizzi, if Houston defends well, why is Murray favored over Fields? I don't understand. They defend the pass well, but I think I put Fields over Murray. I should have Fields over Murray. They defend the pass well. They're we call it run funnel defense. You want to run against Houston. James Conner, I'm saying he had it going on the ground today. I was a little down on the Arizona passing game. The field should be fine. Shookson, good morning to you as well. Murray, Purdy, Stroud, Fields. I am going to order them. Fields 1, Stroud 2, Purdy 3, and Murray 4. Joseph Zock, Stroud. I answered that one for you in the super chat. Got you there. Jim Coop, need a PPR, running back and 2 receivers. Warren, Cook, Thielen, Godwin, or Devontae Smith. I am putting Devontae Smith number 1, Warren number 2, Godwin number 3, Cook number 4, and Thielen number 5. So if I'm doing the running back and 2 receivers, we're going to go with Warren, Smith, and Godwin. Enrique, hope you're well also. TD only pick 3. Adams, Waddle, Addison, Thielen, Laporta, Ferguson. Picking 3, we're going to go Ferguson, Waddle. The last one, I'm going to go Laporta over Adams. If your gut says Adams, go with it. I'm going to go Laporta over him. John Rubright, Seattle D or the Jets D. Stafford's going to be able to work underneath, and they're probably not going to take a lot of sacks here. I'm going to go with the Jets D here. Instagram. So we got here. Ethan Metal, Derrick Henry, or Ty Chandler. I'm going to go with Henry because Alexander Madison's cleared to play. Dotson or Godwin. Godwin has the higher floor. Dotson has the higher ceiling. So if you want the safe play, go with Godwin. If you want to risk a low floor for a higher ceiling, then you go with Dotson. Godwin's a very safe play this week. Sack these on Insta. Rest of schedule. Downs, Rice, or JSN. Because we've seen Downs perform for a while, Downs is number 1. I'm putting Rice 2 because my narrative is Andy Reid has to use him more. JSN is doing very well, but the ceiling may not be there because of the other receivers. Gone fishing, flex, Addison, Schultz, Sutton. I'm going to go with Schultz here. Sutton's been very touchdown dependent. The Minnesota defense is going to blitz a lot. But if your gut says Sutton over Schultz, I get it. Schultz is a safer floor. Addison, I think they just see enough of Surtain that makes me nervous. Just Griff. Need 2. Ayuk, Puka, Nico, Kirk, Amari Cooper. So I'm going to go with Kirk, and I am going to go with Ayuk here. But if you want the highest ceiling play instead of Ayuk, then go with Puka. Just the F and around Denver D or Minnesota D. I think I answered that one already. The ace of spade, Mostert or James Conner. I'm going to go with Conner here. I think he gets heavy volume in this game, and the matchup against Houston is great on the ground. Alfonso, full PPR, Deontay Johnson or Dalton Schultz. We are going with Dalton Schultz. A lot of man defense by Cleveland. That's not the best for Deontay. Yason or Yason. Commanders D, a good play. Yeah, definitely are this week. Now, they don't have the pass rush day because they traded away their pass rush, but they face Tommy DeVito, so there's that. But, yeah, otherwise Kansas City is probably not going to get a whole lot done against Philly. JKM, hi to you as well. Standard, Cook, Brian Robinson, David Montgomery, and Devon Achane need 3. Achane for sure. We're going to sit James Cook against the Jets. Sideshow Mill, need one of James Cook, Henderson, or White. I don't like White's matchup, but he probably gets the most volume of the 3 in this one. Cook has a bad matchup. Henderson, actually, with Bobby Wagner out there, has a bad matchup. I'm going to give White the slight edge. And again, Charlene, good morning. Go Texas Longhorns, yes. Keith, good morning. Full PPR, Nakua or Singletary? I'm going to go Nakua there. I think Singletary's doesn't have the ceiling that Nakua has, and Nakua should have a fine enough floor. Singletary has a good matchup. Last week was kind of an outlier for him. Adam, star 3. DJ, DK, Addison, Deontay, Pacheco, D-Hopper, Laporta. We're starting DK and we're starting DJ Moore. We're starting both of them for sure. And then our third one is going to be DeAndre Hopkins. I think he has a cornerback, and Tyson Campbell's out. JKM, standard scoring. D-Hop, Reed, or Garrett Wilson. I'm going with Garrett Wilson here. Garrett Wilson should have an excellent matchup against Buffalo. That's really down some players. Got a super chat question before I come back to Cherie. Eric Han, Ford or Pollard need a win this week. I'm going to go with Ford here. They have to run against Pittsburgh. No tackle Montravius Adam out. Middle linebacker Cole Holcomb on the IR. They were struggling against the run as it was. They're going to have to lean on it. Ford has been solid. Pollard has been struggling, and we're getting Rico Dowdle more work. And I'm going to go with Ford there. Cherie, PPR flex, Ferguson or Amari Cooper. Because of Dorian Thompson-Robinson and the uncertainty, give me Ferguson. He's been getting stable targets and a big red zone factor. Kevin Keller, Stroud or Dobbs. I'm going to go with Stroud here. There should be enough for him to get it done. Dobbs has a good rushing floor, but I think there's a bad matchup for him at Denver. Robert Sanchez, Achane or Connor. Achane has a higher ceiling than Connor. They're both great plays this week. I'm going to give Achane a 52-48 edge because of his explosive upside that he's shown in the 3 full games he played. Vinny, good morning to you. Fields or Howell? I'm going to go with Fields there. I think that against Detroit, he's been hot too. Fields had those 2 big games before he got hurt. The thumb should be good. Howell, it was 14-7 in the last matchup against the Giants, divisional matchup. That those 2 teams really slug it out. Fields probably gets more fantasy points. Waddle or Kirk, like them both here. I think Waddle has more upside. Kirk is a better floor. If you want to save about 10 PPR points, Kirk gets you that with a little more upside. If you need to swing for 20, I don't think Kirk gets that. Waddle will be lower or higher. That would be the route to go. Yason, would you have CJ Stroud? Would I drop? Yeah, you know what? You always should. I think at this point of the season, if there's no quarterbacks out there on the wire regularly, then make the move. If there's usually quarterbacks out there, then don't do it. And Charlene, I got you in the middle of the week, so good luck to you as well. Valentino, half PPR, Ridley, Deontay, and Sutton. I don't like Deontay against a lot of man coverage. Sutton's touchdown dependent, but I'm still going to go with him over Deontay. I'm going to go with Ridley in a good matchup. Charlene, I appreciate you watching too. It means a lot to me. We come to the Insta here for a minute now. Tone low, PPR, Hurts or Purdy? Because I know I do rate Purdy a little bit higher for scoring potential. On my actual rankings, I can't put Hurts, behind him because he could run at any time. And I don't know what the knee is like. I'm concerned about Hurts' knee a little bit. And Hurts is a higher floor because if McCaffrey gets going on the ground, they don't have to throw, but they usually do throw. It's kind of ballsy to start Purdy, but I do think it's a play to make. I think it's a strong play to make. So I totally see it. It's just hard to sit Hurts because if that game shoots out, he could go nuts. But Purdy should put up a lot of pointer. Purdy 51-49. Yeah, let's do that. Los Angeles Designs, Walker or White? White, the 49ers are going to be better against the run than they were. They got the pass rush fixed. I'm going to go Ken Walker there. Tone Loke, Hurts or Purdy? So I just answered that one. Perfect. Purdy slightly over him. Fantasy Football Ranker 13, Wilson or Lockett? Lockett's not nearly 100%. They're going to test him out game time, so I'm going to sit Lockett in that one. Tone Loke, Hopkins or Sutton? I am going to give Hopkins a slight edge there, and I froze about Insta here. All right. Admiral Nita, drop Kyle Pitts to stash a playoff DST. Probably not. I mean, because defenses are so fickle week to week, but Pitts hasn't done much of anything. If your waiver wire has tight ends out there, then why not? But yeah, I get it. Charlene, appreciate you. Thanks. And Andrea, flex, Lockett, Thielen, Godwin. I'm going with Godwin there. Godwin should have a high floor in this one. Not scared of the Tampa corners at all. Dr. Roberto need 2 PPR and a bonus for first downs. Puka, Tank, Hollywood, and Lockett. And Lockett is just not close to 100% right now. And I'm not even sure he plays or finishes the game. So we'll leave him out. Hollywood Brown, Texans are good against the pass. So I'm going to go with Puka and Tank in this one. Valentino, half PPR pick 2, Ridley, Warren, and Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is a super high floor. And you know what? I think Warren has a higher floor than Ridley. I love Ridley this week, but he hasn't done it in a lot of good matchups. So I think we just sit him since you have great options. Nino, Pena, Rashad White or Breece Hall. Rest of schedule. Oh, man. White's caught all 17 of his last 17 targets in the last 3 games. That's been boosting him. Breece Hall is suffering because defenses are loading up to stop him and they don't have the line to handle it. So that's a problem. Rashad White probably scores more points, but if Aaron Rodgers comes back in the fantasy playoffs, Breece Hall goes through the roof because they can't load up to stop him anymore. And White could fall off at any time. He's living on that receiving. If that fall, and he's had some easier matchups, like 20 carries for 73 yards. He's like yards per carry is awful, but he's got some touchdown luck. I'm going to say Breece Hall because I think there's a chance that Rodgers comes back. Joshua, Javante, Mostert, Connor need 2. Connor and Javonte have the highest floors and they have reasonable ceilings. I'm going to go with them. Alex, good morning to you. Glad you're here. Andrea, need one in a flex. McKinnon, Foreman, Dillon, Logan, Thomas. I don't know how the Bears are going to use their running backs. I'd love to say Foreman, but that's a tough call. McKinnon, same thing. We're hoping they use him more, but he's seen barely any usage. I'm going to have to go Dillon and Logan Thomas because I know they're each getting some work. If your gut says Foreman, play him over Dillon. Delroy, start to Connor, Achan. I'm sitting Spears. Achan and Connor have floor and ceiling for you. And I think I have I think I have the super chat questions cut off. Frenzy MS need 5 of these. Javonte, Ford, Singletary, Henry, Dell, DJ Moore, and Metcalf. 2 receivers, definitely playing DJ Moore and Metcalf. At running back, you need 2. We're definitely going Javonte Williams and Jerome Ford. Your flex of these 3, I'm going with Dell. I'm going to go with the 3 receivers you listed. I'm going to go with Ford, and I'm going to go with Javonte Williams for volume. Camden, I'll get back to Insta in a second. We've got Breece Hall and Josh Jacobs, Saquon, and DK Metcalf. Should you start all 3 running backs or start 2 and flex DK? I would play DK over Breece Hall. It's just, man, Saquon's kind of in the same boat. I'm definitely going to play DK, though, because both Breece Hall and Saquon are going to see everything stacked against them. Saquon just has a better opportunity to get things done in the receiving game than Hall does. So I'm going to do that. DKPA on Insta. Jason Sion. Singletary or Achan. Achan definitely has a floor is super high, his ceiling super high. DKPA, full PPR. Walker or Robinson. I'm going to go Robinson here. Robinson should see a lot of extra work. We should see more receiving work than usual with Gibson out. Ace of spade, Connor, Mostert or I'm going to go with Connor for the higher floor. Just the effing around. We answered that already. Jason, Sion, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Tone Loke, full PPR. Is on Insta for a little while here. Hurts or Purdy, we talked about that. I love Hurts, but we're going to give Purdy a slight edge here. He's going to have a big game here, and I'm worried about Hurts' knee. King D Love, Aaron Jones, Williams, or James Conner, all great situations. I'm going to give Conner and Jones the matchup advantages there in that one. RMT 927 standard pick 2 Waddle. I crapped out on Insta. Great. I don't know why that happens. All right. I'll come back to Insta soon. I unfroze. So RMT 927 pick 2 Waddle, Ayuk, or Dell. Waddle's in for floor ceiling combo. Ayuk is the floor player, is the second one if you want a high floor. But if you need to shoot for this, risk a lower floor for a higher ceiling over Ayuk, then you would go with Dell in that case. Otherwise, Waddle and Ayuk could be the calls, but Dell has a bigger upside than Ayuk. Fantasy football ranker 13, Wilson or Lockett. Lockett, again, I'm concerned he's not going to play or finish. He's very limited with the injury. I'm going to sit him. Los Angeles Designs on Insta, Kenneth Walker, Rashad White. We're going to go Walker in this one. I don't think White gets done as a receiver against the 49ers defense. Just the effing around. He asked that about 5 times, I think. Gabby Lanks, Madison or Freeman. Madison. Denver's easier to run on, and he's cleared from the concussion, so we're good to go there. Tone Low, Kurtz or Purdy, we answer that. Again, if you don't have your question answered, I will get to you. WTF, Mendiola, good morning, Laporta or Ferguson. Both are in great situations here. Ferguson's a more primary read in the red zone, and they should get down there quite a bit. I'm going to go with Ferguson. I answered that one already, and I answered that one already. Tone Loke, I answered that one already. Los Angeles Designs, we went with Walker over White. Just Griff, Saquon, Breece Hall, and Javonte. I'm going to go with Javonte and Saquon. Breece isn't probably going to see much receiving work. I got spammed with a bunch of questions. And then WF Mendiola, Ferguson over Laporta. Tone Loke, we already had that. And RMT 927, I'm pretty sure I answered you already. We went with we answered that for you. Tone Loke, we answered that. I got spammed up a bunch of questions. LaFleur 8, pick 2 to start. I think I got another super chat question. I'm going to hop over there in a minute. LaFleur 8, Pickens, James Cook, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks. We are going with Brandon Cooks for sure. Deontay's against man. I'm going to go with James Cook for floor as the second one. All right, I got a super chat question here. Let's see what I got here. Eric Ham, one more. You need to pick 3. Adams, Collins, Nakua, or McLaurin. So of this group, I do think I'm going to sit Devontae. I think he's going to see enough of Jalen Ramsey. I think that they're going to struggle against the pass rush. I think Aiden O'Connell's a problem here. So I'm going to sit Adams in this one. McLaurin always has a high floor. Nakua should have a nice opportunity to have enough floor and some serial ceiling. And then Collins is back in his alpha role. So, yeah, unfortunately, we're going to sit the best player of this group because of the situation. James M, sit one, Dell, Debo, or Puka. Love Debo's matchup here. Yeah, it's a nearly impossible one. I'm gonna sit Puka out of this group. I think Dell has a higher floor than Puka. Joshua Frederick, Myers or James Cook. I think the underneath routes might be open for Myers. Miami gives up underneath stuff. I'm gonna go with Myers over Cook. The bearded RN. Hey, you as well. Have to start one. Puka, Javonte Williams, DJ Moore, Kirk, Dell. You know what? DJ Moore had 300-yard games in his last 4 with Fields. I see that rolling here. I'm going to keep going with him. Jeff Marcus, quarterback confusion. Dobbs, Murray, Fields, knee one. I'm going with Fields. I think Fields the last 2 games were 35 points. He got hurt in the Minnesota game, but he was great otherwise. Chris, morning to you as well. Half PPR. Tank Dell, Mostert, or Achane. Going with Achane. Floor has been incredibly high, and they say he's a full go. Vinny, Mostert or Pacheco? Pacheco is a tough matchup. Eagles are no joke against the run. I'm going to go Mostert against the Raiders. Matt Young, Hubbard or Alexander Madison? He's cleared. That's per Schefter. So we're going to go to Alexander Madison. Todd Binns, sit one. Barkley, Swift, Mostert, or Singletary? I'm going to sit Singletary in this one. I don't see him anywhere near last week's production. Barkley's going to usually finds a way to get it done. We'll go with that. We'll sit Singletary. Andrea, running back at 2 flex. White, Connor, Lockett, Deontay Johnson, Addison. All right, so you need a running back. We're going with Connor as your running back. And then your 2 flexes. I'm worried Lockett's not going to finish the game. I'm worried about Addison on Surtain. So we're going to go with Rashad White. And then even though I don't like Deontay Johnson's matchup, I think that he's in better shape than Addison in this one. Geno or Fields? I'm going to go with Fields. I think that rushing upside's real. Got another super chat question from Ken F. Need to drop one to start. Achane, Foreman, Chandler. Drop one to start. Drop one to start Achane. I think we drop Fournette. I just don't see him having a real fantasy viable role, even if they put him on the roster. Tight end, you've got Musgrave, Mayer, Otten, or Freiermuth. Freiermuth had a 1 catch for 2-yard game against Cleveland last time, and 3 of his 4 games were less than 10 yards, so I'm going to rule him out. Don't like Otten against Fred Warner. Michael Mayer, the middle of the field, you could get to the middle of the field on Miami, and I think they're going to have to throw. I'm going to go with Michael Mayer. Thank you, Ken. Musgrave doesn't get enough targets. Matt Young, Dotson, or Pickens. I'm going with Dotson here. He had that long catch and run on a broken play against Cleveland last time. That's improbable to happen again. Dotson's been getting targets. We're going to roll with him. All right, let's see what we got here. King, Ray, Torres, McBride, or Kincaid. Equal. I'm going to give Kincaid the edge because you tack the Jets through the middle, and that's where you can get them. Fantasy football ranker. We went Wilson over Lockett. Tone Loke. We answer that. Mike CV, Foreman, Herbert, or Lockett, or Cooper. You know what? I don't know if Lockett's going to finish the game. I don't know how the Bears are going to use their running back. Despite DTR, I got to go with Cooper. Quartz Collector, Hopkins, or Cook. Brandon Cooks. Cooks has 15 PPR points or 14 in 3 of his last 4 games. I'm going to give him the slight edge over Hopkins. Camachaveria, Schultz or Rice. Schultz is safer. I think Rice has real ceiling in this game. So if you need the big ceiling, I think that they can deploy him out of the bye against that soft Philly defense. Rice has bigger upside. Schultz is a much safer floor. Richard Jasso, Nico over McBride, very close, but I would. I think Nico has a great matchup here. And then we answered that one. Trigger 13, Henry or Sutton? Henry's not getting enough work. Sutton's very touchdown dependent. Henry hasn't been getting the touchdowns. I think Sutton gets a slight edge over Henry based on the way he's been playing lately. Tone Luck, we answered you. And Nick Jordan, Connor, Mostert, Walker, Javonte Williams sitting one. Of this group, I'm going to sit Walker. The volume for Connor and Williams will be there, and Mostert has the big playability against Raiders. Tone low. Waddle or Debo. They both have great floor. I think Debo in this particular matchup has more upside. I'm going to go with Debo. Garrick B, you're welcome. Thielen or James Cook. I don't like Cook's matchup. Thielen should get some garbage underneath against Dallas. I'm going to give Thielen a slight edge there. Chad Houck, need one standard. Sutton, Metcalf, Rice, Devontae Smith, Javonte. Your safest is Javonte. He's getting a load of opportunity. I think your best upside play in this week is Devontae Smith because there's no Dallas Goedert. So I would look at that. King Ray Torres, Kincaid McBride again. It's like 50-50 on this one. I'm going to give McBride a slight edge. I think it's a higher scoring game. And Drednick, Amari Cooper, Hollywood Brown. I'm going to give Hollywood Brown the edge here because of the Dorian Thompson-Robinson factor. I don't like Brown's targets this week, but I think they go up this week. All right, back to YouTube. Ray Rodriguez, full PPR, Christian Watson or Jaden Reed. Oh, man. If there's ever a game that Watson gets it done, it's today. Jaden Reed, though, low volume, but he somehow gets it done. Reed is a safer play than Watson, who's been a terrible floor play. If you're feeling frisky and you want this, there could be an upside game. This would be the week Watson could get it. I would probably still start Jaden Reed. It's got to be Jaden Reed for me. Andrea, Ferguson or Schultz? I think Schultz sees more volume in this one. Ferguson has a better chance of scoring a touchdown, but they're both red zone viable. Let me give Schultz a slight edge. Uncle Ted, DK or Ridley? I got to go with DK. I love the matchup against the Rams. Ridley, good matchup, but he just doesn't get it done in these good matchups. So until I see Ridley do something, I got to go DK. And again, Uncle Ted, Pickens, it was a busted 75-yard touchdown on a slant. Great play, probably unsustainable. That was his whole production pretty much in that game. Brock, start 2. Saquon, Aaron Jones, and Achane. Got to sit Saquon. Going to get ganged up against. Aaron Jones is a great matchup. Achane looks great. Luke, Rashee Rice, Kincaid or Jerome Ford in your flex. Kincaid is your safest. He's getting a ton of targets, and I would probably trust him to have ceiling in that one too. I like Ford too. Rice, we're hoping he gets work, but we don't know. Chris Ray, Cook or Montgomery. Got to go with Monty here. Got to go with Monty. Cook has a bad matchup. Delroy, Reed, Musgrave, or Rondale Moore. Let's go with Jaden Reed. And look, I know Rondale Moore probably get 8 targets again, but they're making him a part of the offense. I'm going to put him a bit over Musgrave. Musgrave doesn't get enough target. Lindorphins, more in you as well. Trade question. Kelvin Ridley and Cook or Achane and Quentin Johnston? You know what? Fournette may come in and take a little bit of work from Cook. Ridley just isn't getting it done. I don't see him fixing it. Just give me the Achane side. I don't care about Quentin Johnston. Throw in. Give me the Achane side. Michael, start 1. Gabe Davis or Chuba Hubbard? They're going to have him on DJ Reed sometime, and he'll have a size mismatch. Chuba's probably not going to have much room to run. I'm going to go Gabe Davis in this one. Lindorfin's pretty good DSTs, but tough matchups. Do I prefer the Chiefs to Philadelphia? Give me the Jets over Buffalo. Josh Allen just makes a lot of mistakes. DST, Cleveland or San Francisco? You know what? I like San Francisco here. They're protecting Mayfield, but this is a different beast. Malachi, 1476. Pick 3, DJ Moore, A.J. Brown, Adam Thielen, D-Hop, and Gabe Davis. DJ Moore, 3 of 4 games at 100 yards with Fields. A.J. Brown, for sure, can't sit him. And I think our Lex was going to be DeAndre Hopkins. He has a good matchup here. Mostert, I'm going to go Bearded RN. We're going to go Mostert over James Cook. And start 2, Bearded RN, Hollywood Brown, DJ Moore, or Waddle. I'm going with Moore and Waddle here. I like the floor-ceiling combos for both. James Smith, crazy scoring point per carry, 2 per reception. You need to sit one of these running backs. Henry, Williams, Connor, or Henderson. I'm going to sit Henderson. Bad matchup here. Bearded Aaron, Devontae, or DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is a higher ceiling. And again, he was great with Fields till Fields got hurt. Dobbs or Howell. 50-50 on that one. I think, wow. I'm going to give Howell a slight edge in this one. Uncle DK has 500 yards and 5 TDs in 9 games against the Rams. Start Metcalf. Okay, there you go. Bearded RN, Thielen, Dell, or Javonte Williams. Williams for floor, Dell for if you want the boom bust play. He's a better ceiling play. Jacoby Myers or Terry McLaurin. Can't sit Terry McLaurin. His floor is always great. Myers has had some bad floors recently. Instagram. King Ray Torres, Lockett or Addison. I'm worried Lockett can't finish the game or maybe not even active. I'm going to go with Addison for that reason. Just Vinyl, Warren or Sutton in the last flex spot. Warren safer. Sutton's been very TD dependent. Targets have been weird. Cracked out on Instagram again. Come back to it in a second. Frenzy. You need 5 of these. Sounds like I answered something like, all right. Back on Instagram. Good. So anyway, Sutton's been very TD dependent, just Vinyl. I'm going to go with Warren give Warren the edge there. Tone Loco, you already asked me that one. Asked that one already. Debo or Waddle. MR Mr. INAF 78 on Instagram. Debo or Waddle. They both have reasonable floor and upside projections. I think it's more likely Debo's used the middle of the field this one. I'm going to go with Debo. ECU Dubs. Cooper or Darrell Henderson. We're going to go with Cooper, even though DTR is in. Henderson is a bad matchup. H. Dembski, Njoku, Henderson, or Spears. I'm going to go with Njoku. They use him in the screen game. Maybe that works out here and continues. Brittany Hubble, CJ Stroud, or Josh Allen. I'm going to go with CJ Stroud. Allen's a bad matchup, but he's not been performing well. The turnover's been a killer. Sergio, Dobbs, or Hurts. We're going to go Hurts pretty easily in this one. Steven Drozd, Ford, or Warren. Warren probably gets more catches. Ford has a better chance to score a touchdown. I'm going to give Ford the slight edge here. Devious D, Adams, or DJ. I'm going to go with DJ Moore. He was on fire with Justin Fields. Dr. Saulo Serrano about Ty Chandler. Not much now because he got a lot of his work after Madison was knocked out. Madison's playing. Dowdle or Christian Watson by Christoph Kurtz. It's just too tough to predict Dowdle to get work. If they blow them out, if you're sure Dallas will blow out Carolina, then go with Dowdle. Watson has been terrible. This is a good matchup finally. So Watson, safer, believe that or not. But if you think Dallas blows out Carolina, which they might, then play Dowdle. Dr. Solo, Pickens or Rondé. I'm going to go Pickens in this one. Again, I talked them down, but more. I don't think those 8 targets are coming back. H. Dembski, we answered that one for you already. Luis Reyes, Addison, Sutton, or the flex. We're going to go with Sutton in that one. PNLB, Puka or Kirk. That was a lot of people asked that one. I think Kirk is safer. Puka has more upside. Ken F on YouTube. Moving forward, moving HN to your lineup, who do you drop? Foreman, Fournette, Dowdle, or McKinnon? I just don't think Fournette's going to be a factor at all going forward. So I would drop, even if he gets activated, I don't see him having a real role. Zion, Kyler, or Howell? Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to give Kyler the edge. I think it's a higher scoring game. Vinny, Mostert, Pacheco, or Ridley? I'm going to give Mostert the edge. Pacheco has a bad matchup. Ridley just hasn't shown it. Give me Mostert against the Raiders. Brian Upton, thanks for hitting the like and subscribe button. Cole Kmet or Jake Ferguson? Both are in good shape here. Ferguson is a more consistent part of the offense. And in this game, there should be plenty of scoring. I'm going to go with Ferguson. I like Kmet too, though. But France, Dell or Kirk, Barkley or Singletary? Yeah, I've had that one. That's been a specific question. So Kirk has a really high floor in this one, but he doesn't have anywhere near Dell's ceiling. Dell has a lower floor. They don't need to go to him a lot. So if you want the boom bust, go with Dell. If you want the safe play, go with Kirk. Barkley or Singletary? I know, and good morning to you as well. I know Singletary had a great week last week. Barkley's going to get ganged up on, but Barkley's used to find a way to get it done. I'm going to go with that. Adrian, good morning to you as well. 2-part question. Josh Allen or Kyler Murray? Man, yeah. They're both going to run. I think it's a higher scoring game in Arizona. I'm going to go Kyler. Flex, Tyler Lockett, Kelvin Ridley, or James Cook? I don't know if Lockett's going to play. I don't know if he's going to finish. He's hurt. Ridley just hasn't been getting done. Cook has a bad matchup, but I think Cook has the best floor of them all. Defo, bench 1, Adams, Jacobs, or Hall? Hall. I think everybody loads the box to stop him and then make Zach Wilson beat him. PJ322, Barkley versus Hunt, Cooper versus Cooks. Avoid all Browns. I am going Barkley in this one. I'm going to go Barkley in this one. And And I will go Cooks over Cooper because he has at least 14 PPR points in 3 of his last 4 games. Dave's Pillsbury, good morning to you. Sleeper half point. I think there's going to be a follow-up question somewhere. It just says sleeper half point. Thomas, need one for a flex play PPR. Ford, Kittle, or Addison? You know the drill on this one. Kittle could get you 25 points. He can get you 3 points. The matchup's fine. It's hard to sit Kittle for a ceiling. If you want the safest floor layup play, get you 10 points, then you go with Jerome Ford. If you want to risk a 4 for a 20, then you got to go with Kittle. Adrian, Sutton or Garrett Wilson? I know Sutton's been scoring all those touchdowns, but the targets haven't been there. Wilson gets double-digit targets. I got to go Wilson. Thomas, you're very welcome. Mark, good morning to you as well. Flex PPR, Saquon and Brees. Waddle and Puka. Flex is Mostert. Would I swap any of them out? I don't think I would. I would keep it as it is. Dell's intriguing, but not with the other players. It could be over Puka, but I think they're very similar in projection for both floor and ceiling. Sleek. Flex, Rashad White, James Conner, Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson, or Marquise Brown. Conner has the highest floor and is the safest. He could score in this one. I think Devontae Smith is a real boom bust play. I think this could be a game where he goes up, but it's not a lock. Conner would be the safest play, but if you want to go for a big ceiling, it would be Devontae Smith. Steve Arnold, need 2 from the list. Aaron Jones, Kincaid, Waddle, Javonte Williams. Aaron Jones is a great matchup finally. And Waddle, you know what? Waddle is your boom bust play in there because he has a great ceiling potential, but there's also a chance he gets 4 targets. Javonte Williams is the safest as your number 2, even over Kincaid. Kincaid's a great play this week, but Javonte gets you like 20-something touches now in the matchups. In my mind, he could beat this team because he can get some screens against the blitz. I think so. Ricardo Hernandez and Insta. I'm crazy about wanting to play Kyler over Allen. Not crazy at all. Not crazy at all. Allen is a bad matchup, and Kyler should be a shootout, right? Rad Goat, is Devontae Adams playing? To my knowledge, he is, but I have not seen anything on inactives because I'm doing the stream. But to my knowledge, he's playing. All right, and I think I'm caught up on Insta, so I'm closing Insta out. Thanks, everybody. Close that one out, and now close that one up. All right, let's finish strong here. Let's see how we're doing on questions. Oh yeah, I got to rifle through these because we are at that point. Let me make sure. Okay, I don't think I have any super chat questions. Let me see where I left off. I want to make sure I don't screw anything up here. Give me a minute. I got to scroll through and find where I left off on the questions. All right, there we go. I left off with Steve. And I think I got everybody else there. On Steve. Okay. All right. And then I answered that one for you. Sorry, Eric. Rashee Ridley or Rice at the play. I'm going to go Rashee Rice. I think his floor is similar to Ridley, and we're hoping for more ceiling out of the bye. John Brown, good morning to you. Stroud or Howell? Last time the Howell played the Giants was 14-7. They might run the ball a lot. I'm going to go with Stroud here. James Smith, Addison or Kincaid? I'm going with Kincaid. I'm a little worried that Addison sees some snaps against Surtain that might not go well. Addison or Kincaid? I'm going to go with Kincaid for the same reason in the flex. Tanner, half PPR, pick 3. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, or Puka? Yeah. All right, let's see what we got here. DJ Moore, for sure, he was running super hot with Justin Fields before Fields got hurt. Keenan Allen, pretty unstoppable. Should be a lot of zone defense here. He should be fine. He's healthy. And you know what? I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. I think with Goddard out, he's got to get more targets. We love Puka, but we're going to sit Puka in this one. Mark, good morning. Let me see here. Running backs are Saquon and Brees. You answered that one for you already. Got you. If I didn't answer your question, I will get to you. James Smith. I answered that one for you already. Kincaid over him, over Addison. Jim Coop. PPR, need running back, 2 receivers and a flex. Warren, Cook, Thielen, Godwin, or Smith. All right. So receiver-wise, we're going to go with Godwin and Smith here. I think they both have some upside too this week. And at running back, we're going to go with Warren, and your flex is going to be Thielen. I don't like Cook's matchup. Peter, Connor, or Rashad. I'm going to go with Connor. A great matchup for him this week. And Achane is a must start. He's a full go. He had at least 20 fantasy points in his last 3 games. The one he didn't, he hardly played. Tanner, looks like I answered that one for you already. We said Puka on that one. Glenn Westfall, Kyler Murray, or Justin Fields. Very, very close. I do give Fields an edge here. I think that the Cardinals might run the ball a little bit. And Fields has more upside, I think. Steve Arnold, I'm worried about Lockett's health. He's not close to 100%. And so I'm going to rule him out. I'm going to go with Jordan Addison, even though the bad matchup. Delroy, start 2. Jones, K. Will, or Javonte Williams. You know what? I'm going to go with Aaron Jones and Javonte Williams. The usage is through the roof, and Jones is a great matchup. Adrian Flores, Jahan Dotson, or Tyler. Again, very concerned about Tyler Lockett's health. I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson. Chris, good morning to you as well. Henderson or Monty. I'm going to go with Monty there. Henderson is a bad matchup. This is not a good matchup for him against Seattle run defense. Drop Hubbard or Henderson because Achan's off IR. Henderson, because next week Kyron Williams is back and Henderson's going to be back on the street probably. He probably doesn't have a roster spot at that point. Ricardo, very close. I'm going with Dak over Stroud. Dallas has been passive. They realize they can't run much. Steve Arnold, we're going with Dobbs because you keep hearing me say I'm worried that Lockett's not going to make it through the game. The injury sounds like it's fairly significant. He's going to tough it through. Dude Love, Murray or Fields. I'm going with Fields there. I think that the Cardinals run the ball a bit. Half PPR flex, Cook or Addison. I am going to go with Cook here. I think there's enough volume to get him going. Addison, enough reps against Surtain would hurt him. Jack Gold, Henderson, Madison, or Najee. You know what? Madison has a good matchup. And when he has a good matchup, he tends to perform well. I'm going to give Madison a slight edge over Najee. I don't like Henderson in the matchup this week. Tom, welcome. Reed or Quentin Johnston. I'm going with Reed. Reed finds a way of cashing. He gets enough done on limited targets. Quentin Johnston is just, he actually has a bad matchup. Green Bay, I play on the outside. That's really not optimal. James, we're going with Tyjae Spear because Chandler, Madison's supposed to play tonight, and Chandler got most of his work in the last game when he got hurt, when Madison got hurt. Ricardo, we're going with Dak over Howell here. Red, you're welcome. Ken, Musgrave, Mayer, Otten, or Freiermuth. I'm going with Mayer here. I think Mayer has the best matchup of them all. Volmaniac, happy Sunday to you as well. Murray, Cooper, or Lockett. Too worried about Lockett's health. Cooper with DTR, we're still going to go with me at 6 targets. Last time they played, didn't do much with it. Should be better this time. Tanner, answer that one for you already. Robert Sanchez, Debo, or Garrett Wilson. Garrett has a great floor, but probably not a lot of ceiling, over like 18 points. Debo, great middle of the field matchup. Wilson is safer. Wilson's going to get you double-digit targets. Debo, you never know. Debo has a higher ceiling. I would probably start Wilson for the floor, but if you need the swing for defense, Debo could, in some scenarios, have a big game here. Trent Doc, Herbert or Fields. Wow, Herbert against Green Bay at Green Bay. Green Bay is a good pass defense, even though it doesn't seem the way they do. I'm gonna give Fields for the rushing. I'm gonna give him an edge. If your gut says Herbert, play Herbert. Jose Hernandez, Dobbs or Fields? Going with Fields there. Uncle Ted, Moore, Smith, and Keenan. I mean, it sounds like you're answering somebody maybe. But if you're asking a question, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen 2, Devontae Smith 3 in that order. Delroy, start 2, Aaron Jones, Williams, and Connor. I am going to play Connor and Jones for their upside in this. Williams has a great floor, but I think Connor and Jones do as well. Hunter, over 267 pass yards for Stroud. Probable. But if Connor for the Cardinals takes over on the ground and shortens the game, I'm avoiding that one. But it's probable, but I'm avoiding that. I would avoid that bet. Jose Hernandez, Cook, or Quentin Johnston. I'm going to go with Cook for volume. Maybe Jair Alexander's out, but it hasn't mattered. Their pass defense still been, they play zone, so they're kind of okay. Dave Pillsbury, Stafford or Dobbs. I'm going with Dobbs for the rushing floor. Dave Pillsbury, Wilson or Stafford. I think Wilson's in trouble in this one with all the blitz and the zone coverage he's going to see. I'm going to go with Stafford. Kincaid, Singletary, Sutton, Henderson, or Spears. I'm going to go with Kincaid. I'm going to go with Sutton in that group. He's been running hot a little bit. Dave, Jets or the Dolphins? I like the Dolphins here playing with a lead. They should be in good shape here. Jim Coop, one more aspect of your question at Flex. Thielen or Cook? Thielen gets garbage time here. Now, the more I think about it, Thielen's going to get some garbage time. Cook's going to get some volume. I think the garbage time for Thielen piles up. I'm going to go with Thielen. Tom, Ridley, Williams, or Wilson? I'm going to go Garrett Wilson. He's got like double-digit targets every game. Volume for Javonte is going to be great. Ridley, I can't trust. I'm going to go Garrett Wilson. Master J, Murray or Trevor Lawrence. Murray safer. I think Lawrence is an upside play. I got him as a GPP special this week, but there's floor upside. Murray should at least run and get something done there. Again, I love Lawrence this week, but I think Murray is way safer. If you want to take a shot, because my bold prediction is Lawrence 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, but I don't. That's a bold call. All right, Nathan. Bench 1, Achane, Monty, Evans, DJ Moore. Oh, man. Wow. It got to be Mike Evans against the 49ers. That's a tough one, but I'm going to have to do that. MDav, Kyler, Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he gets it done for his floor is better than Kyler's. I think his floor is better. And James Conner might run. I'm going to go Josh Allen. CD and Dak, Sack Boys. Yep, there you go. Delroy, DJ or Nico. DJ has 300-yard games in the last 4 with Fields. I'm going to roll with him. Chris Williams, Cooper, and Darrell Henderson. I'm going with Cooper. Darrell Henderson is a bad matchup. Delagizi, you're welcome, and happy holidays to you. Always appreciate you, Delagizi. Always good to see you. Joe Phelan. I'm sorry if I say it wrong. Puka or Kirk. I had so many people ask that same question today. It's a good one. I think Kirk is a higher floor. If you want to go the boom bust route, I think Puka is that more boom bust, but Kirk has a reasonable ceiling. I lean Kirk for that reason. But if you have that feeling that, you want to totally need that boom game, then Puka would be the player you said, but you're risking. Kirk's less risky. Johnny Frost, full PPR, sit 1. Nakua, Collins, or Kirk? Same as that last question. I'm probably going to sit Nakua in that group, unless you want to swing for the fence. And then in that case, you sit down Kirk. But I'm going to play Collins and Kirk. Those are the 2 I'm playing. Chris, half point PPR. Half point. Nico or DJ Moore? Look, like I said, DJ Moore's been getting it done with Justin Fields, and I'm going to keep rolling with him. Dave, Green Bay or the Eagles? Justin Herbert's not going to turn it over much. I'm going to go with the Eagles. It's fun for DST. I don't like either of them. Probably go with the Eagles. Andrea, missed I post your question again, Andrea. I'll answer it for you. VJack 27, Allen, Purdy, or Murray? I got Purdy scoring a little bit more than Josh Allen. Allen's safer. Allen is the safest play because he always gets you a high floor. I think Purdy scores a little bit more. I don't know if it's worth the risk that they run and he has the down game. So I think Purdy's the one who scores the most, but Allen's the safest play. Steve Arnold, Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, good matchup finally, and he's getting a ton of work. Morris, did you make the right decision getting Baker Mayfield in a trade? You had the Indy quarterback. Yeah, I think so, because eventually we always know that Gardner Minshew kind of falls apart. Andrea, need 2 running backs. Mostert, Pacheco, Javonte Williams, Connor, Singletary. Going with James Conner, and we're going with Javonte for the floor. If you want to go boom bust over Javonte, then you go Mostert your boom bust play, but Javonte is much safer high floor, and Connor's definitely in. Dom Sings, Howell or Hurts? I'm going to go with Hurts here. There are more paths for him to get it done in a possible shootout. And then Admiral, you're welcome. Nathan, bench 1, Achane, Monty, Evans. We did Evans in that one. And VJack, I answered that for you already. Austin, Shane, Herbert, Foreman, Hubbard. I just don't. I never trust the Bears coaching staff. I have no idea how they're going to handle their situation. So I would personally rank them Foreman, Herbert, then Hubbard, and that's how I rank them this week and the rest of the season. But again, trusting the Bears coaching staff, that's a tough one. Vinny, sit 1 between Barkley, Javonte, and Swift. I'm going to sit Barkley. Chad, sit standard, need 1. Sutton, Metcalf, Rice, Devontae Smith, Rashad White. I am going to Javonte's the safest, highest floor play. Devontae Smith is your boom bust because he could be with no Goddard, he could go off here, but they could defend him well. So that's the way I look at that one. ESBC Sporting. It looks like Josh is in the house. Most expensive advice, bad advice. Nice. Thank you, man. Thank you, Josh. I love you, man. Nathan Boyd. Bench 1, Achane, Monty. I think I answered it for you already. We were benching Mike Evans in that group. AF, Puka, or Cooper. I'm going to go Puka here. It's really hard to trust a DTR quarterback. Andrea, you're always welcome. Appreciate you here. Kenny, full PPR league, pick 2. Monty, Gibbs, or Achane. Remember, this could be Monty's revenge game. Yeah, but the problem is, and the thing is, I don't think the coaching staff will see it that way, right? Right now it's a 50-50. But here's what I'm going to say. Achan's in for sure. Monte's the highest floor play. He has a great floor. Gibbs has a higher ceiling because if they turn him loose, the Bears could struggle. So if you want the safe play, it's going to be Monte and Achan. If you want to go for the highest ceiling, I do think that's going to be Gibbs here because of the explosive play element. I know he had the long run last week, Monte, but that was, abnormal. We answered that one already. Lindorphins, good luck to you. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks. Dylan, you start. Hollywood or McBride? McBride safer. Hollywood has more boom bust, so go that route. I would go, if you want the safe play, go McBride. Running back and flex, Connor, Achan, and Waddle. I'm going to go with Achan and Connor for the floor ceiling combo. One quarterback, Stroud or Fields. I'm going with Fields in this one. Connor, Ford, Singletary, Waddle. You need a running back and a flex. I'm going with Connor and Waddle in that one. Delroy, Musgrave, Arondale Moore. Oh, man. You know what? Musgrave's middle of the field matchup is good. Moore, I don't see those targets sustaining. I'm going to go with Musgrave. Matthew, Reed or Quentin Johnston, half PPR. I got to go with Reed there. And I got to rifle through. I got to make sure I set a couple lineups before kickoff. Dan, Sanders scoring, Najee, Marquise, Godwin, or Kirk. Kirk is the best blend of floor and ceiling here. Lucius, I don't know if I just saw this. Musgrave or Ian Thomas today, or Logan. I'm using Logan Thomas. And thank you. I had a couple of come in. I'm sorry, I just see these now. We are going Logan Thomas over Musgrave. The volume just isn't there for Musgrave enough. And Cecil Leo, and again, but thanks for the super chat. Musgrave or Conklin? We're gonna go with Conklin. It's been 6 and 7 catches the last week. We got to ride the train. Musgrave doesn't get a lot of targets, so we're gonna go that route. And Conklin has a good tight end matchup against Buffalo. Ken F, Chandler, Foreman, or Dodal. Chandler's not gonna get much work because Madison's been cleared, and I'm gonna go with Foreman. I think he has the best floor of this group. Vinny, Zay Jones or Robert, and that's what I'm trying to find out. Robert, if Zay Jones is active, I'm gonna look that up right now because I need that for my lineup, and I got to find this out. So I can answer your question at the same time. Zay Jones, he's back. So he's active. Okay, so that's huge. I need to know that. So, yeah, in this case, so where are we at now? Where the heck did the question go? I totally am looking for this. I don't even see the Zay Jones questions up here anymore. It's like gone. Adrian, Mayer or Sutton? Sutton's been running hot. You're going to keep rolling hot hand there. Matt, Judy or Rondale Moore? Wow, Judy hasn't been doing anything. Rondale Moore at 8 targets. I'm going to go with Rondale Moore here. It's going to be a tough matchup for Judy. Wilson or Debo for Robert Sanchez? Debo has more upside. Wilson has a way higher floor. I would base it on if you want the high, like you can get like 15 to 18 PPR points at Wilson, take that. If you need to have 25, Wilson can't get that, but Debo has a lower floor, but he could reach that. That'd be the way to look at that. Jeff, Khalil, Jacoby, Chandler, or Samuel. I'm going to go Jacoby in that one. I think the matchup works out well for him. Ryan Cox, Khalil Herbert, Foreman, Zay Jones, or Romeo Dobbs. Because I don't trust the Bears and how they're going to use their running backs and that they're going to use them properly and not get Roshan in there. I'm going to give Zay Jones the edge in his game back. Stafford or Trevor Lawrence? I have Trevor Lawrence as my GPP boom bust play of the week. Stafford rarely throws multiple touchdowns this year. I'm going to give Trevor Lawrence the edge. Mike Fink, we're going with Fields over Howell for the running. Steve Arnold, we're going with Dobbs over Addison because I'm worried about the Surtain matchup. Impossible. Oh, wow. Murray and Herbert. We're going to go with I'm going to go with Herbert over Murray in this one. Pacheco, Robinson, Henderson, Chandler. You need 2 running backs. We're going to go with Brian Robinson, and we're going to go with Pacheco. And then you need 2 receivers and flex. St. Brown's definitely in. Godwin's in. And I'm going to give Nico a slight edge over Dell on that one. So, yeah, Nico a slight edge over Dell on that one. Defensive stream, Commanders. I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I love the Dolphins this week. Matthew Williams, Sam Howell, or Justin Fields. I'm going to go with Fields in that one. I think the rushing upside's there. Leaving. In this specific question, I'm going to leave Gainwell. I'm going to go with Foreman. My hope is he gets the goal line work and they have a chance to score. Chris, HN, Mostert, or Tank Dell? I'm going to go with Achan and Tank Dell. Tank Dell has a reasonable floor with Mostert, and I think he has a higher ceiling. Mr. Brian Beaver, pick 2. DJ Moore, Tank Dell, Devontae Smith. DJ Moore for sure. And I'm going to go Devontae Smith slightly over Tank Dell because with Goddard, I think he gets more help. James, appreciate you. Daniel, Collins or DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to go Collins here. I think it could be an upside game for him. Herbert or Hunt. Jeff, I'm going to go with Hunt. I think they're going to need him near the goal. They use him in the goal line. And Herbert, I don't think it's goal line work. D's nuts. Garrett Wilson or Flowers. Garrett and Flowers for Bijan. If you need a running back, yes. Go ahead. If you can get a stand the receiver depth hit, that'd be fine. Jay Stacks. All right, now I got to rush through these. Murray and Stevenson for Ayuk. I would do that. Yeah, I would do that. And then pick 2, Evans, Dell, and Rice. I would go with Dell and Rice. But if you want the safest plays, it's Dell and Evans. Rice is more volatile if you don't know his role. Andrea, see you Tuesday. Thank you. Joe, we're going with Parham over Otten. I don't like the Fred Warner matchup for Otten. Favorite DFS stack? Oh, man. Pay up at the Cowboys. Go with Lamb, Ferguson, and Dak. Ryan Cox, I think I answered that. Zay Jones question. I'm going to go with Zay Jones in that one. Matthew Williams, 2 flex. Quentin Johnson, Gabe Davis, Deontay, Herbert, Njoku, Logan Thomas, 2 flex spots. All right, let's see what we got here. We're going to go with I'm going to go with Logan Thomas. I got to go Khalil Herbert as the second one. Deontay is man coverage, don't like. Mike Finker going with Connor. Floor and upside for him in this game. Santana, Max, Spears, or Singletary. I'm going to go Singletary for volume. Chad, ETN, or Gibbs. Not a good matchup for ETN. He finds the end zone a lot, but I'm going to go with Gibbs. He's been running hot. Vinny, Zay Jones, or Robert Woods. Going to go with Zay Jones here. I think they need him back in the passing attack, and Robert Woods kind of like fading off a bit. Kyler or Stroud. It was so close, Santana Mac on this one. It's like a 50-50. I think Kyler runs a little bit more, but I think the Connor runs for the offense. So I think Stroud's going to pass a little bit more. I'm going to go with Stroud. Daniel, Ford, Addison, or Johnston. I'm going to go with Ford for the high floor here. Thanks, everyone.